entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
That's right. I am here, Stefan. Yes, that is Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, the Black Dr. Phil. Yeah, we're going to get into that today. I just have a message to all these guys who have these accountability channels right now. If you're going to hold women accountable, hold women accountable. Hold all of them accountable. Don't go soft. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're celebrities. I don't care. I don't care if you think they're going to make your career better. Just don't go soft on me. If you're going to call yourself Redpill, don't call yourself soft. Don't do that. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing me. Oh, yeah. That's the old... Oh, man, this is old school. All right, y'all ready for this? Here we go.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Michelle.
I'm 35, never been married, no kids, and I'm waiting on my person. I've never online dated, hinged, Tindered, bumbled, mingled, and don't plan to because I just don't have the time. I will tell you, I have high expectations for myself, and I will have them for that man that comes alongside me and wants to run this life race. Admittedly, I am quite independent and an alpha female, but not like the ball-breaking, domineering type. I'm a woman of service, I love people, and I get spread quite thin and go all kinds of directions in my city. But I just need that man who can literally just be there right alongside me.
Oh, yeah. You ready to get? You guys ready to just come up alongside her? Is that what you're expecting? Yeah, she said the word. I'm sorry. Now, I gotta adjust levels. My bad. Sorry, guys. I was doing all video today and I wasn't thinking about audio like another podcast I'm very familiar with. Greetings. Hey, how you doing? My name is ROLLO Tomassi. I'm the author of The Rational Male. This is my show. Good afternoon. I'm back from Tulsa. I went to Pat Campbell's memorial service, and it was an eye-opening experience. If you are curious about that, I'm not going to get into that today. I've already done his memorial show, but I was there in Tulsa for over the weekend. That's why there was no show on Sunday, just to let you catch everybody up. But I am back, and I'll tell you something. Whenever I am on, I'd say vacation, but whenever I'm traveling and I have to cancel a show or I've got to like sort of postpone a show, that's when you guys throw these kinds of things at me. That's when you guys throw me these videos and I'm like, where were you guys a week ago when I was looking for material? This is an interesting paradox. This is an interesting phenomenon that I see going on right now, and I see it happening quite a bit. Now we've been talking about accountability and women's accountability for a long time. It is a genre, I would say, of the red pill. I almost want to call it the accountability pill at this point, because so many people are doing it, and even a lot of guys in the mainstream are getting into it, and I am also going to comment about just a touch about the whole Kevin Samuels and Brittany Renner thing that was going on. I know Donovan did a breakdown video of what was going on with him. My problem with that is, if you're going to hold women accountable, hold them accountable. Like if you are sincerely in this sphere, whatever we're calling it right now, you have an obligation to objective truth, and you have an obligation to hold, if that's your thing, Kevin, if that's your thing, anybody, I don't know who else, hold women's DJ Academics, by the way, kudos to you, my friend, props to you, because you went harder at Brittany Renner than than Kevin Samuels did, is in my estimate anyways. I got to watch that over the weekend. I got to see a lot of stuff. This was one of them. Somebody sent me this, and I thought this was interesting because this by the way, this is on the Steve Harvey show, if you haven't already figured that out. We've got a nice religious woman here who has just hit 35 years old and is wondering where her godly ordained man is. She is a alpha female. She came up with that, not me. And we're gonna dig into this video just a touch. It's actually pretty short. I've got a few things lined up for you. This is our Wednesday show, so I'm playing red meat, hot, fast, and loose here. So we'll serve it up hot, pipe, and hot for you today. But I think there's a bigger message behind all of this, and boy, have I got another one that's coming up right after this too. But it is interesting to me that I think a lot of female podcasters, let's just say, or women who want to be dating experts, or they want to be, I don't even want to call them that, relationship experts, right? I'm a relationship coach. I'm a relationship expert, are having to deal now with the unignorable facts that the red pill has been talking about really since 2005. I mean, these are conversations, again, like I keep telling you guys, these are conversations I had 15, 16 years ago. And here we are, 2021, 21 years into the 21st century, and we're still having these conversations. And we're having these conversations as if we just had them bop us in the head like 5 minutes ago. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, nothing we haven't been doing, or nothing we haven't been talking about for the last, 16, 18 years. I'm coming up on 20 years in this field. So let's just clarify some terms there. What you got here? Casey, oh boy. Yeah, we're going to get it. I've got that on deck too. I've got a lot of stuff in the can right now. I was going to just do a premiere show. And I think a lot of guys get a little bit confused when I talk about, or when I'm doing a show and it's like a pre-record and I make it a premiere. I do that so you guys can have some engagement in it as well. It's nice to get super chats, yes. But Wednesdays, I'm usually doing a premiere show, but today it's live, so you actually caught me live. Casey Anthony is supposedly interested in starting a family again. Me, listen to Roll, I think I can save her. She got married. I know that. If you don't know who Casey Anthony is, go Google that name. She is going to feature heavily in the Kill to Party episode that I have already in the can for you guys. That is a dynamic that I've been wanting to sort of explore a little bit more. But Phil, Red Pill Godfather, thank you, sir. Thanks for putting men back into the frame of intersexual dynamics. Yes. Well, I have a commitment to, I should say, I have an obligation to objective truth. Not my truth, Kevin. Oh God, I don't know if you guys saw this, and I feel like I got to just throw this one out there real quick. But when Brittany Renner talks about like living my truth, I mean, at that point, how do you not go off on her? How do you not fill her in on the difference between my truth versus the truth, especially when that's been your message for a very long time? If that had been Myron, boy, I would. This is what I would expect, anyways. Is there a red pill movement for women? The red pill movement. Red pill's not a movement, first of all. Red pill from the perspective of intersexual dynamics is a praxeology. So get that out of your head right now. It is not an ideology. It is not a movement. It is a praxeology. I've had those shows. I'm not going to recover that one as well. Yes, Kill to Party. Kill to Party, by the way, is the dynamic that there's a female dynamic where we'll see this here in a little while. I hate to do it. Yes, I am aware of was Michaela Peterson and her divorce right now. That show is on tap, let's just say. But before we get to that, I wanted to get into the Steve Harvey element here, because I think what's happening now is for the last few episodes, I've been talking about guys like Steven Crowder. I've been talking about guys like even Joe Rogan recently with Ben Shapiro on the show. Certainly Tim Pool. The theme, I think, for 2021 has been, since at least March, is the red pill going mainstream? Well, I think now we can sort of confirm that it has, but it has in the sense that it is a hot topic. It's just a new hotness. It's not like anybody's taking it seriously. It's not like anybody is saying, oh, we must do something about this. And the reason why I say that is because every time it gets into the mainstream, it's always men must do better. And by the way, today is, today is the November 17th, which is International Men's Day, which is really International Wife Nagging at Men and Nagging Women Speaking for Men Day. That's what it has turned into. And I wanted to point that out here before we get started. Is that on internet? Why doesn't ROLLO do anything for International Men's Day? Well, I used to think that it had some sort of validity or it had some sort of purpose to it. Now it is just simply another, it's another mouthpiece, or it's another special occasion for women who are concerned trolls with men to basically get out the same message that they just get out all year long, which is men must do better. Men must take more responsibility. Men must blah, blah, fill in the blank, whatever serves your purpose, whatever serves your imperative. And so when like men are not even allowed to have a day to themselves, right? Men are not even allowed to say, okay, here's what's going on with us, guys. Here's some stats. Men are 3.5 to 5 times the rate of suicide than women are. Okay, just simple, stupid facts like that. Well, it's because they're not interacting, they're not emotionally available, and they're not talking about their feelings, and they're not vulnerable. And it's a society that's teaching them to be, not to cry. And yeah, men are replaceable. And anything to get away from the stats, anything to move away from the bad feels, anything to move away from the unflattering truths about women's nature, anything. How can we redirect this? How can we divert this information? How can we change? How can we pivot this message to something that is a little bit more female friendly? And I'm seeing that constantly in the mainstream right now. So when guys throw stuff out, and this was a good example of this, by the way, and I'm actually kind of surprised because remember that when you see shows, especially commercial television shows, especially like Dr. Phil, and I'll give you the story about my experience with Dr. Phil here in a little bit, but these are staged. This isn't just I've got my card here and I'm going to read a question to Steve Harvey. That, trust me, producers pick that chick, this girl out here that's in the thumbnail. I don't know who she is, by the way, and she's not no one that I know has any even e-fame or anything like that. She's just a member of the audience. And she's mouthing off a lot of the same misunderstandings and misgivings that we'll see on Fresh and Fit, that we'll see on Kevin Samuels, that we'll see it when I call him out. When you name the accountability show, these are the same themes. And when we get to this on a show that is as big as, like, say, the Steve Harvey show or whatever, or Dr. Phil or whatever else, remember that the people doing the producers and the writers and the directors and all the handlers and the people who are behind the scenes, they're watching shows like this. They're watching this show. They're watching Kevin Samuels. You want to know how does Brittany Renders get on Kevin Samuels? How does Fresh and Fit get on, whatever else? How does that happen? How do we get into the mainstream? We don't. But our themes get into the mainstream. What happens is you get these communications majors that are running the show for TV talk shows, let's just say, and they see those themes and they want, hey, that's hot, let's throw that one out there. Well, here we are in Steve Harvey. Now, I have a lot to say about Steve Harvey. I think you probably can guess what I would say here. I'm going to dissect this a little bit. But I think this is just going to get us started for today's theme. So I'm going to put this back up here as soon as I address this. When the mainstream takes red pill seriously, they will distort it in order to demonize and validate women. Yes, that's exactly what I said on Fresh and Fit, by the way, back in March. I think I've actually put that clip up when Myron and Fresh asked me, said, do you think that red pill's going mainstream? I said, well, we asked the same question back in 2013. Even Roosh back in 2013, 2014 blogged this out. He said, this is the year that the red pill goes mainstream. It didn't go mainstream back then. In fact, I hope it doesn't. That's what I told the guys. I hope it doesn't. I don't want it to go mainstream, because the minute it goes mainstream is the minute it loses validity, is the minute that somebody who has no business deciding or defining or explaining or any of this bullshit to the mainstream media has any business being the guy who's sort of the mouthpiece for it. And you're right. That's when it gets distorted. That's when it gets demonized. Well, not demonized. It's already demonized. But that's when it gets distorted. That's when the message gets corrupted. And guys will do that. Roosh sold out to Dr. Oz back in the day, back in 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, right? And that's exactly what my concern was when they asked me, said, well, do you think that the red pill's going mainstream? It's like, I hope not. Because usually the person who goes mainstream, the person who says, I'm going to take this to the masses, that guy is probably the last person you should be listening to about anything that has to do with red pill praxeology. And I say, well, Rollo, why don't you go and do it? Because the moment I do that is the moment that I sort of lose, at least to me anyways, I don't know about to you, but to me, doing something like that, I don't know. I don't want to say it cheapens the message, but I think it sort of at least puts an asterisk by it. And I think the red pill needs to be underground. I think it needs to be as non-mainstream as possible. Let's see. I keep going here. Oh, what'd you say? Oh, finally read Religion. More red pills, truth bombs than anything I've ever read. Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, I was on Abu American's show yesterday morning with my jet lag. And it was a very good show. We talked about the red pill in Islam. And so especially for you guys who have been hitting me up, what? Wait a minute. I'm a hipster? How did I get to be a hipster? I am in no way a hipster. Young lady, I am in no way a hipster. Likely a woman will go on CNN talking about the red pill. I'm sure they've already done it. Actually, Mac, CNN has already done documentaries on the red pill, which is really more like incels and what has become the black pill. They've already done that. Yeah, heck, go look it up. I think it's probably on YouTube at some after this show. Go look it up. CNN has done a documentary as such on the red pill, quote unquote. I think it was back in 2018. It's a lot of it's concern trolling is what it ends up being. Can you please do a show on female hypergamy is pure eugenics? And Moon, I've already done that show, but I will put that on the roster here. I have done a show that's almost identical to that topic. I think it was called misconceptions of hypergamy. I think so is what it was. Anyways, maybe it's time to do it again. I don't know. Taking it to the mainstream means entering their frame. Yes. Transgressions of one of the laws of power, standing in the shadows of powerful men. Yeah. Well, that's true. Also, Andy, I wrote about this right. I think it might've been before Roosh went on Dr. Oz, but I remember when some of the guys who were writing in the blogosphere anyways, back in 2013, 2014, were getting on some mainstream radio shows at that time. And some of them were getting on, I think, commercial television. And they were talking about the red pill. I mean, they were just getting run up the flagpole because they didn't know what they were talking out of their asses. They didn't know they had no idea. They weren't well versed, let's just say. And I wrote an essay called "It's Their Game." And it's exactly what you're just describing. That's one of the reasons you want to know why there was an original sort of schism between myself and Roosh. It was because I called him out on his appearance on Dr. Oz after he'd already written like a year prior to his appearance on the Dr. Oz show, where he was just pilloried for fat shaming. And he just basically went on there and played the foil while he was on there. And he got pilloried. It looked bad. The optics were horrible. PR. He had no idea what he was getting into. I hope the money was good. I think it probably was, because immediately after that show, that's when he decided to go on his world tour for neo-masculinity, and Free Speech Isn't Free came out after that, and the Battle of Montreal. You guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But I called him to the carpet because for the same reason I called Myron and Fresh to the carpet when all that stuff was going on in August. If I care about you, if I criticize you, it means I give a rat's ass. It means I care about you. And I did the same thing with Roosh, and Roosh just blew me off. And I said, don't pretend like you got ambushed. You didn't get ambushed. You walked onto that knowing exactly what you were getting into. And the reason I said that is because a year prior, he had literally written a blog post. I think it was either on Return of Kings or it was on his blog that said, Dr. Phil is a phony or a fake or something like that. And he went into great detail about how Dr. Oz's show was run by his wife or something like that. There's probably an archive of it on Wayback Machine. I don't know if it's still around. You could probably still find it. And I held him. I said, if you wanted the money, you want to go make an appearance on mainstream TV, go right ahead. But don't pretend like you got ambushed because it was bad optics. You made the decision to go on there. Own up to it. You got to eat it sometimes. No, they didn't want to hear it. Then he didn't want me talking about it. He could block me on Twitter. All that happened way before his conversion to Christianity. Just so the record is straight here. That's when that happened. Not in 2018, not in 2019, not when he took magic mushrooms and found Jesus. Take it to the mainstream. Oh, I got to you. Irish Alpha, Rollo, you're forgetting about Anthony Johnson went on the mainstream British TV channel. Yeah, and he got run up. And what happened? Yeah, I saw that too, Irish Alpha. And what happened? He went on there thinking that who's the guy? Who's the I forget the dude's name. Who was on that show? It's Good Morning Britain or something like that. Who was the dude? Somebody give me the name of the guy who was on that show. Okay, well, thanks. What the hell was his name? Somebody give it to me. This wasn't Gavin McGinnis. It was forget the dude's name. Anyways, he went on there thinking that he was in friendly territory, trying to pump out the 22 convention. Pierce Morgan, thank you very much. Pierce Morgan. And went on there thinking that Pierce Morgan was going to be like on his side. No. Pierce Morgan is on Pierce Morgan's side. And went on there thinking that he was in friendly territory, at least with Pierce Morgan, because Pierce Morgan's been critical of feminism for a while. And that didn't work out the way he thought it would. I laughed. Boy, I got a real good laugh out of that. Pierce. So anyways, speaking of good laughs, let's get into today's kick here. Where did I put that? Wow, I didn't know I could do this. Oh, that's a new layout. Thank you very much, StreamYard. All right, here we go.
So Steve, do you think my independent alpha female mentality comes off too strong?
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. Have you been in long-term relationships?
I have. I've been in 3.
And
all less than about a year and a half, and
Okay.
I call it off actually a wedding as well.
And the guys were
Incredible, just not the ones I want to spend my life with, like life responsibility issues.
you, an alpha woman, extremely independent, but you want a man that's more alpha male than you are, and you want to know if he's out there.
Now, I don't know enough about Steve Harvey here to know if this is like something that he's even familiar with. Steve Harvey, I mean, by my book, or by my reckoning, is not, he's a comedian, right? He's not a psychologist. He's not even Dr. Phil level of psychologist, but let's give him some of the worldly wisdom side of things here. Has he ever had this conversation before? Has he ever been confronted with stuff like this before? Because I don't know. I'm not familiar enough here, but I am familiar enough to know what the next words that are going to come out of his mouth are, because it's the standard pablum that you get whenever you get a situation like this. Like, well, how do I change my life? I'm an alpha female. I did everything that everybody ever told me to do that was right. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've had this conversation with other women, let's just say, who I don't want to drop names right now, but back in June, I had a very similar conversation with a young lady who was, I believe she was 26 years old, and she threw something very similar to along these lines at me, and she said, "I'm 26 years old. I can't find a guy who's responsible. I've made a lot of I have a degree. I'm 26 years old. I'm making a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And I can't find a guy who is of my caliber." Now, she's 26 years old. This woman here is 35. She's done. It's over. It's over for her. And you'll see why. You'll see why she acknowledges this at some point. She's done. But we can't kick her in the face that much. I mean, this is not an accountability show. This is a Steve Harvey show, right? But he's trying to sort this thing out. And first and foremost, and yes, I'm just going to get to this right now. When we are talking about alpha females, I have done this show. This is already in the can. Okay. There's no such thing as an alpha female. Ladies, there's no such, if you're watching this is your show, by the way. Ladies, if if there's a rational female show, if there's a Rollo Tomassi for women show, this is going to be your show. And it's not to kick you in the teeth, it's to give you some objective reality. And that's, I think, one of the most difficult aspects. Like, people ask me all the time, why don't you have women on the show? Well, I'm not against it. But the reason that I don't is because I would have to go from speaking rational language to having to speak emotional language, because women end up leading with emotions. Remember what I said before when we're talking about the triune mind theory, instinct, emotion, and reason. Well, when women are communicating, the natural proclivity for women to communicate is emotion first and then reason after that. If we even get to that point, for men, it's usually the reason part first, and then we go, oh, I'm sorry, did I hurt your feelings? Wait a minute. It's an afterthought. It's something that comes in a different order. That's why men communicate overtly. That's why women communicate covertly. Women are more like this because of that natural prioritizing of emotion before reason, and then for men, reason before emotion. And that's how you get men's being very blunt and we sound like we're cavemen and stupid, and women are happy to point that out because it's all about communication. It's a different communication style. There's a masculine communication style, and there's a women's female communication style. For women, it's all, they prioritize the context of the conversation, meaning how does the conversation make me feel? Feel. For men, it's the other way around. The content of the conversation is what's the priority. What's the information? What's the problem I need to solve? What is this guy telling me? Are we exchanging something that I can learn from? It's the content versus the context. It's not that women don't get content when in their conversations. They do. But the primary reason for that, or the approach, the concept of that conversation begins from a different standpoint for men and for women. That's why it seems like men are just these, hit them up over side of the head. We're the guys who are, like, men are supposed to say what they mean and mean what they say. For women, it's like, oh, let's get together and have coffee at Starbucks, right? It is an occasion, and it is enjoyable for women to communicate. For men, it is, but for a different reason. Like, we want to learn something, we want to do something. We're going to go learn. Let's go fly fishing. Here's how you do it. That kind of stuff. There's a purpose or a point to it. There's a process usually. So women say, oh, men don't talk about their feelings. Yeah, because we don't prioritize feelings in a conversation. It's just the way that we're built. It's the mechanics of the machine. Men prioritize information first, and then maybe they get to, oh, I'm sorry, did what I say offend you? And women know damn well that they're offending you right before it comes out of their mouth, because that was the intent. It was an emotional intent. So that's the difference in the conversation here. And what happens is, when a woman is trying to get sort of like, here's my problem, Steve Harvey. My problem is this. I've done everything that I was supposed to do. I got the degree. I'm an alpha female. I make my own damn money, right? She walks like the boss and talks like the boss, right? She's the stereotypical. And then on top of this, we're going to layer in religion on top of this. And that's where I kind of wanted to go with this a little bit today, because she is having an epiphany very late in life. Maybe she had it prior, but now she's kind of like throwing this out there according to whatever the producers told her to say. She's reading this from a script, right? You can tell that this was planned. You can tell that this is like something that I almost think she memorized this. I'm pretty sure the parts of it she did. And so she's throwing this out there because she's trying to generate the idea that there's this sort of casual interest in, oh, hey guys, this is what's going on with my life. No, it's a popular concept and a popular theme that's online that the producers picked up on, that they want Steve Harvey to talk about. So that's how we get to this in the first place. Now, second of all, there's no such thing as an alpha female, right? So when women become alpha females, they are really becoming alpha males with female body parts. Okay, I'm going to say that nicely here. I probably already swore. There goes I'm probably going to, I appreciate the super chats for this one, because it's probably going to get demonetized. But so now we have it now it's out in the open, and now we can talk about it in sort of this, oh, well, it just happened to be the thing that's on my mind. No, it's not. This is part of the show. But what's going to happen here is he's going to try, and this is the accountability theme, the accountability side of things. He's going to try to turn this around in objective terms, but also couching it in emotional language, because that's what guys like Steve Harvey do. They know where their bread is buttered. They know what their target demographic is. Dr. Phil, daytime TV, right around what, 2, 3 o'clock? And ask me how I know. I will tell you in a moment. But his demographic is definitely not you guys. It's definitely not my demographic. But his producers are more than happy to come and lift our material to throw it in there. And here's what happens. So here's what happens when Redpill goes mainstream, right? But, and let me just clarify one more term here, is that when a woman says that she is an alpha female, that tells you all you need to know about her mindset. That tells you all you need to know about her programming. There is a blue pill for women. It's called feminism, right? But it's also called gynocentrism. It's also called fempowerment. It's also called, like, we're going to raise our little girls to, be basically masculinize our girls. That conditioning, that blue pill conditioning, is every bit as real as a blue pill conditioning for men. Keep that in mind. Ladies, if you're wondering, how come there's no rational female? Well, because for me to make it palatable, I would have to turn into Steve Harvey. And that is just a bridge too far, ladies. I am not going to do that. So when it comes to, I've put this out there before, when it comes to alpha females, when we have this image of like the CEO, the boss girl, the CEO chick who's calling herself an alpha female, she has essentially made herself into an alpha male. And she'll get to a point where this woman is, where she's wondering why she can't attract other alpha males according to the criteria that she thinks that they should be attracted to, which is her. She probably believes that I'm everything that everybody told me that I should be. Like the girl I was mentioning before, the 26-year-old, same thing, same boat. It's getting earlier and earlier. And imagine me telling the 26-year, and I did this. Imagine me telling this 26-year-old alpha female that she needs to soften it up. She needs to get more feminine. She needs to get in touch with you need to get in touch with your feminine side. Ladies, if you're an alpha female and you're wondering where your prince is, your Prince Charming is, you need to get in touch with your emotions. You need to get in touch with your feminine side, your female side, because up to this point, you more than likely you've been nothing but the masculine side of things, if that's even a thing, right? Yeah. And women get really upset and pissed off at that because they have put so much time and so much effort and invested so much of their life in a narrative that told them if they did these things, if they had the money and they made themselves more secure and they made themselves the CEO, boss babe, whatever, that they would be successful, and men and high caliber, high value, whatever we're calling it today, high value men would want to get with them. Well, 35 years old, she's ditched at least 2 guys that we know of. Or she said she had 3 long-term relationships, I believe. One of them was a cancellation of a marriage. But he wasn't the right guy that God had dropped on her doorstep. He wasn't the godly man of God. More than likely, it was a conflict of egos at that point. So what he's going to do here is he's going to try to soften the blow. He's going to try to soften the red pill here.
Well, yeah, like the faith-filled, I need like a Scottie Pippen to my MJ. Like, I'm MJ, like Michael Jordan, and I need that Scottie Pippen that's going to toss me the ball.
Wait.
Like, come alongside me.
No. Ain't nobody finna do that.
Like a teammate.
No, ain't no man finna do that. You, Michael Jordan, I'm finna be your Scottie. What strong, independent, more alpha male you done met that's finna be the Scottie and let you be the Michael Jordan?
Well, I can be the Scottie, the Rodman, but is the Michael Jordan out there? That's
the
question.
They out there.
You think so?
But let me say this though. Mm-hmm. I don't think the problem is you've had 3 long-term relationships from 3 great guys. Most people can't say that.
Right.
I think it's you.
Okay, so when I say I've high expectations.
That's the funny part right there. That's the kick in the face part that he was trying to avoid, that he was hoping that he wasn't going to have to get to. But it's necessary for the conversation. That's how you build a successful podcast and holding women accountable for the consequences of the choices that they've made. She chose to be an alpha female, but maybe not, right? Maybe simply it was a consequence of her upbringing. Maybe it was a consequence of a childhood, or, Playhouse Disney or Nickelodeon or whatever it is that taught her that she needed to do that. Maybe it was a empowerment narrative over the last, she's 35, over the last, let's say 20 some odd years, that convinced her that she can't trust men and that she has to be the one to provide her own security. She has to be the one to provide all of the necessities that come from a need for the beta buck side of hypergamy, right? Provisioning, protection, and parental investment. We have to throw that into the mix here. So and this is not to get her off the hook. Okay. I mean, she made her choices and there are consequences for that. And that's why I'm using this. That's why I'm showing this. And honestly, I think that's why she's on this show in the first place, as a plant, let's just say, because there's this, it's a hot topic right now to talk about the consequences. I was sold on this bill of goods that I could have it all, right? You can have it all, baby. That's Gloria Steinem 1970s feminism language right there that we're still using today. But she seems kind of dumbfounded here and in shock. Now, this is the part where I think maybe she's a little bit more genuine, but let's keep going.
They're from like here to heaven. So I wake up, read devotion, read Bible. I have a master's degree. Yeah. Then I have a small volunteer ran nonprofit, like strictly volunteer ran nonprofit. So I'm quite busy, and a principal of a middle school. Okay. So quite busy. Yeah. So but I can make time for a man. I mean, I cook. I will go out and get dolled up. I can do all that. Okay. But I just need someone that can support me in all the endeavors.
You inadvertently said you want your Scotty to which is really what you meant. Yeah. But you had to fix it after the crowd
after
went.
We talked.
Ooh, ah. Yeah. So you had to adjust it, and you said, well, I be the Rodman. But not really, though. You're right. And there's nothing wrong with you having what you have, doing what you do, and wanting what you want. I never ask a woman to dumb it down. If you have high expectations of yourself and your life, you should go and do it, and don't stop what you're doing.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. Is that to be more feminine, to do something that might make you more attractive is, and he said it, quote unquote, and I've heard this a million times, dumbing it down. And that was what was thrown at me when I was having the conversation with the 26-year-old. I don't want to dumb. What? I got to be an idiot? I got to turn myself into a ditz so that men will like me? Yeah. Well, that's what it's gonna boil down to. That's what it's going to feel like to you after a lifetime of having been told that if you do these things and you get this job and you get your nonprofit and you're the principal of a school and you do all this stuff and you're an alpha female, that's what it's going to feel like when somebody says when Rollo Tomassi says you need to get in touch with your feminine side. You need to soften your ass up, because unless the guy, with obvious exceptions, men generally don't want to date other men. Okay. The exceptions, but heterosexual, red-blooded American men, whatever, men with, healthy amount of testosterone in their bloodstream, they're not looking to get with another guy. They're looking for the complement to that conventional masculinity that they have, that you are insisting on. I was just said it here. I want an alpha man because I'm an alpha female. That's the problem. That's the blank slate. That's equalism. That's blank slate egalitarian equalism is what that is. And we have been fostering this in at least the last 4 generations since the boomer generation. We have been fostering this in young women, that everybody's equal, and therefore your match, the only guy that's good for you, the Scottie Pippen to my Michael Jordan. Like that is some majorly egotistical shit there. Like, this is me and I'm a badass and I deserve another badass. No, because men and women are different. We are complements to one another, but we are not the same as one another. And that's the problem. It's like you've got a male and a female, and they fit together, mesh together pretty good, right? Since the time we were living on the African savannas in tribal cultures, right? We've been doing this for a long time, but now we're confused because we think that we have been, well, I'm an alpha and you're an alpha, so that makes logical sense that we should get together. Where's my guy? It doesn't work for guys. Like, by the way, when I've talked about this in the past, where a guy, I've always said you're never going to reason a woman into bed, and I'm usually talking about gamma males when I am. And again, this is an abstraction, but usually it's guys who are very analytical and very reason-based and rational-based when it comes to their understanding of game or their understanding of the opposite sex or intersexual dynamics. These are the guys that keep Excel spreadsheets. Well, so-and-so said no, and this is the reason she gave me. And so-and-so said no, and I got rejected on this date and this time. And it's the, fill in the cells of the Excel spreadsheet. And so they get really analytical about it, but they get really upset with intersexual dynamics. They get really upset with the sexual marketplace because they think it should be a science. They think it should be something that is reasonable, because they fall prey to the same reason why this girl's here and she's about to cry, because she thinks, well, I've done all the right things and I haven't been rewarded for it. Where is my Prince Charming? Where's my alpha male to my alpha female? Because, likes attract likes. No, they don't. And men have been learning that the hard way, really, I would say, since the latter half of the 20th century. But here she is, she's going through the same wonderment, let's just say, that most guys get to when they go, why is that girl that I really want to get? Why is my crush really, how come I'm the emotional tampon for her and she still goes and bangs the jerks? Why is that? Like guys who have that conversation with themselves, they don't understand, because logically she should be with them, right? He's the perfect boyfriend. He'll be the perfect. I would never treat her the way that she gets treated by that jerk. Like those guys, they're thinking analytically. They're thinking reason-based. They're thinking in blank slate terms. They're thinking, well, men and women are just equal. And even if they don't actually verbalize those words, that's the idea. That's the sort of like the subroutine that's going on in the background of their heads. And so that's where the bewilderment comes from. How come my crush, she's the perfect girl for my one? How come my one isn't into me? And she wants to go bang Chad from the football team, and she keeps going back to him, and he treats her like shit. And I don't understand it. It must be her, or it must be me, or there must be some sort of mix up. There must be something wrong. She's not quality because she can't see how bi bitchin' I am, right? She can't figure it out. So there's got to be the problems either with her or it's with him or whatever. And the fact of the matter is that's just how the machine works. Okay. Men and women are not the same, but when you make yourself the same, like this woman has after 35 years, once she's made herself the same as an alpha male, she's coming to the realization that guys aren't into her for being an alpha female. Just like guys who are like these gamma males who she's trying to reason her way into bed and asking Steve Harvey, help me sort out and solve my confusion about this. No, well, this is something the Red Pill's been talking about for a while, and Steve doesn't know what the hell to say about it. He falls back on emotionalism and the same tropes that you would get from Oprah, from Steve, or from I want to say Steve Harvey, same ones you would get from like Dr. Phil. It's the stand. It sounds right. It's truthy. So we're going to throw it out there.
Just for a man. You understand? But now understand this now. What man has to come along and be willing to fit into your system? That's hard to find.
Yeah.
Because see, we come with issues. And if we can't be the man, what makes us a man? It's just real simple with men, ladies. You got to stroke that ego. And I appreciate you having high standards. Tell me the type of man you're looking for. Just tell me what that is. Who is this right here?
This is my incredible mother.
She's heard this before.
Well, she wants grandkids.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Yesterday.
But I keep telling her to ask my brother. So, let's get back to those qualities.
Yeah.
So I like what you said. Everything that I
tell me. No. Now I want to hear what you are.
Okay.
I want you to.
Okay. I like, okay. So I'm going to give props where they're due. At least he is holding her to like, let's get down to brass tacks here. What is it that you're looking for? Well, you notice how many times she says, I, me, my mom, time for me to, this is not a woman who understands intersexual dynamics whatsoever. I wish you would come on. I know how come women aren't coming on the Rational Male? You're more than invited, nameless chick from the show. I would love to talk to her because everything is about her frame. And even Steve Harvey in sort of like a ham-fisted way realizes that she is expecting a man to fall, like she's the one that's in command of the frame. Like the idea of submitting, let's just say, but of relinquishing her own frame to fit herself into the frame of a man, any man that would do, apparently, because she's turned down several, is like a foreign thought. It's alien. It's an alien thought. Well, I am at the apex and the pinnacle of my female existence. What man wouldn't want to come into my frame and be a part of this partnership? Men aren't looking for partnership. That's like a business arrangement. And notice what she said, and I've heard this before several times from women that have been in similar conversations. They will say, oh, my mom really wants grandkids, because that's the schedule. That's her frame, by the way. Her frame is mom wants grandkids. You'll do. Come over here, right? The frame is it's time for me to do these things according to schedule. Remember when I tell you guys there's a qualifiable difference between a woman who says, I need to have kids or I want to have kids versus I want to have his kids. That's the difference. She is on the side where it's like, it's time for me to have kids. I'm behind schedule. She's very much behind schedule right now too. Her window, her biological clock, whatever you want, it's long since passed. It was she's at least 10 years past that biological window, right? Women like to think that their biological clock starts ticking right around 30. No, ladies, here, this is your episode. No, it's at 22, 23. That's when your peak your peak sexual market value first of all, and then second of all, it's also the peak window for your fertility to be having kids. The average age of first birth in the United States, anyways, is right around 27, 28 for women, I believe, and probably is getting much later than that. So at 35, first of all, statistically speaking, she's going to be a spinster. Simple as that. And he's never going to say that. He's going to, he wants to leave her with a good taste in her mouth after this is all over. But objectively speaking, she's going to be a spinster. And she's going to join the ranks of a lot more of them, according to Morgan Stanley and the rise of the she economy. By 2030, she'll be just a number. She'll be just a sheep in the herd. And, she'll be much older by then. But fact is we're already seeing this happen right now. And she just doesn't get it. She is the product of the last 60 years of fempowerment and this gynocentric narrative. That's where we're at. This is the results. These are the consequences. I was going to actually title this show like the consequences of like feminism or something. It didn't sort of roll off the tongue very well, but that's really what today's show is about. It's not about holding women accountable. It's making women aware of the consequences of the choices and the conditioning that they are subjected to and have been subjected to since the sexual revolution, really. And here we have this poor 35-year-old woman. She will never find the guy that she wants to get with because the guy she wants to get with does not want to get with another guy, which is what she is. So she's sort of relegated to settling for beta guys, which I don't know this for a fact, but I have a high suspicion that the guys she rejected and the wedding she called off were probably not her, what she would believe is her alpha match. You want to know why women won't take your last name, guys? It's because again, that subroutine that's running in the back, they understand that's women hedging their bets, by the way. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on here. But when women say, "Oh, I don't want to," it's the 21st century, and that taking a man's surname is a vestige of patriarchy and ownership. No, it's men's wanting to tag a name onto their tribe, onto their genetics, onto their children, onto their family. And you know what kind of woman doesn't have a problem with taking their husband's last name? The woman that says, "I want to have his kids." The woman for whom the hypergamous doubt and the filter and everything else, that question has been answered in no uncertain terms. This is the kind of woman who would hyphenate her last name with any of the guys that she put off. I guarantee you. So let me keep going.
So tell me what you want in a man.
All right. Faith-filled, God first.
Okay.
Smart and witty, so can hold a good conversation.
Okay.
Adventurous, likes to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Family first, is secure with himself, doesn't have to have a lot of money, just secure and willing to support their teammate. That's truly what have I missed anything, Mom?
Men aren't looking for a teammate, dear. Men are looking for a wife. That's why it goes up my neck whenever I hear these tradcon guys go, "Oh, I married my best friend." No, you didn't. My best friend is not my wife. My wife is my wife. Ned is my best friend. There it is. Black and white. I have a lot of really good friends, but my wife is something different. We're not teammates. We're not partners. We're not business associates. Well, it's time for me to get married. Oh, you too? Okay. Looks like we're off there. Well, let's reproduce tonight. Okay, good. I'll see you at about 7:00. Great. All right. Okay. But that's not how this works. And she's oblivious to it. Completely oblivious to it. And in fact, she is hubristically oblivious to that. She's pridefully, triumphantly oblivious to this. Well, why aren't there men manning up? Why aren't there enough guys taking responsibility so that these poor women like her, these great catches, how come they're not getting what they're after? How come you as a man are not completing her life's plan for her? Bad man. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, about 20 things.
Yeah, you've missed. I still haven't heard the type of man you want.
Oh, you want even the physical characteristics?
No, I want the type of man you want. A male type is you want a man who is this way, does this, feels this, thinks that. That's a type. Maybe we're having trouble with finding it because you don't know exactly what it is.
Heard. Received.
And let me tell you something. And you all that in a bag of chips. You everything. You got
Salsa,
great personality.
Queso.
Salsa, queso.
Guacamole.
But you a lot though.
I know.
You a lot. I just found that out just talking to you. You just a lot. And you lot. But you done had 3 men that are locked in on that lot. But then what you kept wanting from them, they didn't live up to it.
And I wanted to live out my dream too.
So and you want to live out your dream.
And I did. So now I'm 35.
But see, you can't drag
Single.
everybody with you on your dream
Sure.
that don't want to go. So if I want to help you, lady, because you seem like you really want this answer, if I just knew what you wanted, if you knew what you wanted, you feel me?
Yeah, I do. I'm crying because I got it. Connected. I get it.
See, you're a sweet person. So let me tell you what you got going for you.
She's alpha female.
I think your personality is top flight. Seem like a fun person. You seem sweet. You're not nasty or evil. You got a beautiful personality. You're pretty. You're a nice looking lady. You take care of yourself. And you seem to be so far to have made yourself happy. Now, all we need is for you to be willing to do for someone else the same thing that you expect them to do for you. Instead of trying to find the person that fits this, you got to find out where you fit too. I think if you do that, that's it.
Thanks.
That was probably the single worst non-answer I have ever heard come out of mainstream talk show hosts. Just be yourself, live your truth. What? Like what on earth Let me pull this out of here for you guys. Now, I'm going to, the reason I thought that this was significant is because I see this as something that's a little bit more popular. Is like trying to explain things to women in terms of, here's your nature. Here's what I see as like, God forbid, some layman actually give you an analysis of what they think, women's nature is. How dare you? We're supposed to be mysteries. We're supposed to be unknowable, forces of nature that men aren't supposed to be able to figure out. And I was like, no, it's easy. It's not as hard as you think it is, ladies, really. But that was probably the worst non-answer. It's like, it's a distraction. It's like what you say when you don't know what to say. It's like, just be yourself. Like that advice, just be yourself. And the right one will come along. Well, it's 35 and the guy's not coming along. That lady right there is no further ahead. Has no better knowledge than she did then when she walked into that studio. Assuming that was even a real thing. It might have been a setup. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I mean, she came in there with her mom, right? If that lady was here, if I was the one giving her the advice anyways, if I was the one trying to sort of spell things out for her, I would say, look, you are statistically not going to find the guy that you're looking for. Do you need to dumb yourself down? Well, if you're going to call it dumb yourself down, then okay, fine. But you better fem yourself up. You better start busting yourself down and losing this hubris that you've probably been acculturated for and socialized to believe in for a very long time. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a dumbass. That doesn't mean that you're worthless. The problem that most women have, and ladies, again, this is your show, so here we go. The problem that most women have when someone like myself or anybody in the red pill sphere tries to explain the difference between sexual market value and personal worth, it is always conflated by women. That's why when I'm on Fresh and Fit or something like that, and I'm talking to women, usually it's after the third White Claw. But when I'm trying to have this conversation, I try to, even Myron, I see Myron get really frustrated at this because it gets to the point of diminishing returns. This is what I was trying to say in that way back in March when I was talking to that one sort of rabid militant feminist who was that Amanda. I think her name was Amanda. We call her Giga Karen, right? And, Kevin Samuels came on at the very last 20 minutes of the show and like sort of, hey, you're average at best. Ha ha. I'm out of here. Right. But she's no further ahead. She doesn't understand anything more than this chick here on Steve Harvey right now. She doesn't get it. What's she going to do? She's going to go on executive introductions. It's not going to happen, man. And she wouldn't care anyways, because she sounds like she's very religious. And I was going to say there's a religious component to this as well. And when women get to the epiphany phase, they tend to find God at that point. And yes, you know what I'm going to say here. I have a full show on Michaela Peterson in the bank right now. It's coming. I have to be real careful about it because everybody wants to say, oh, Rollo just hates Jordan Peterson and now he's attacking his daughter. No, she puts herself out there and she is right on schedule. Divorced her husband, so suddenly she's out there putting herself out on Instagram. And it's like, who didn't see this coming? Who didn't know this was going to happen? I mean, really, in this sphere, who didn't know that was going to happen? Okay, right on schedule. She's 29 years old. She will be 30 years old. I looked it up, January 4th of next year. She will be 30 years old. She's right on schedule. And you know what? I'm going to make this prediction right now. Michaela Peterson will be that 35-year-old woman. She'll be, give it another 5 years, and she will be exactly in the same place. Well, I can't find the right guy. Also, let me remind you, while I'm here, Tomi Lahren getting married, or is she married now? Or I know she's engaged. At the very least, she's engaged at this point. Okay? What did I tell you a year ago when she was 28 years old and she was raging with the same kind of energy or the same kind of mentality, the same like bonehead, obliviousness to her own conditions, her own state. Fortunately, she's Tomi Lahren. And second of all, she's 28 years old. So she's got a little bit more time than, say, 35-year-old Steve Harvey girl here. But where is she now? Right on schedule. Right what I said was going to happen. right? Of course there's going to be a guy that's ready to wife her up. Are you kidding? Oh, Tommy, it's time for Tommy to get married. Well, what is she? Oh, she's really upset. What is she looking for? Well, I can be that guy. You know, she went with, what was it? Wasn't Derek? No, it wasn't Derek Carr. Who's the other guy? I forget the guy is a quarterback for Chicago Bears. She was dating that guy for a little while. She was dating a bunch of guys. And now suddenly she's getting wifed up right on time. Right after the nervous breakdown. Oh my God, the lights are going to come up in the club. My sexual market value is in decay, and these guys aren't living up to their end of the bargain. That's essentially what this chick is saying. I did everything right. I'm an alpha female. Where's my alpha prince? Not with you, because the alpha prince wants to get with the hot 23-year-old girl who's feminine, who is naturally, organically appreciative of his value. She, as I said before, it's like you got women who want to get, Jay Cutler. Thank you, Jay Cutler, not the bodybuilder. Jay Cutler, the quarterback of the Chicago, I believe it's Chicago Bears, right? She was dating that guy. What did you say? 4 out of 5 dentists prefer Aaron Clary's books over Rollo's. I'm sure. Thank you. There's your $5 plug, my friend. There's your $5 plug, Aaron Clary. Is that really Aaron? It probably is. Aaron will pile on for my weekday shows. So that's I need to finish that one point though before I move on. Women will tend to believe that their sexual market value is necessarily conflated with their personal worth, or that their personal worth should be a reflection or in some way be an enhancer or a factor increaser, I guess, a force multiplier of their sexual market value. As I've said before, women's only true agency, only true realizable power is their sexuality. And that is usually at its apex, at its peak, right around 22, 23, 24 years old. We can see statistically, this is the fact. Right? Here we are, the 21st year of the 21st century. We have the data. Even schmucks like me can go look it up. And you can too. I've got some other data sets here as well. It's not hard to find these. It's not hard to find the stats that say at 35 years old, the odds are you're probably going to be a spinster. And the problem I have with this is like, then you're going to mix in an element of religion into it too. You're going to mix, I guess the Lord wants me to be single. No grandkids for grandma, for my mom. Oh, sorry. It must be because of these juvenile men who can't go to college and don't want to man up. And hey, it's not on me. It's on these guys. Steve Harvey got this close to it and then he backed away from it. He got this close to saying exactly that and he backed up off of that. But it's that conflation. It's the idea that once that sexual market value drops, that there should be something else. Like, well, I'm a good person. How come guys don't want to get with me? Because they don't care about that. That's not what makes you arousing. That your femininity, your appreciative, your compassion, your genuine desire for that guy. There's so many more factors, but like women think that, well, I have all of the qualities that women would love in a high value man. So why is it that high value men don't want to get with me? Because men and women are different. And that's the fundamental flaw. And as long as we still cling to the blank slate, we're never going to solve this. So I want to move on to this next one. I got a couple of other articles here, but this one was pretty good. Now, this is the roommates. I'm sorry. I don't mean to pick on these guys, but this was too good. This is too juicy. It's on the sort of the religion angle to all this. So I'm going to throw this in this.
Here, she have dated some people that we will probably say.
Okay. They're talking about Ciara. She used to date Future, the rapper. And then of course she is most notoriously known as being the wife of Russell Wilson, another quarterback, Mac, for the hated Seattle Seahawks. However, he's definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback, but very religious, was more than willing to take Ciara, I hope I'm saying her name right, As a single mother, she'd already had a child with Future before they met and hooked up. Now they have 2 children together afterwards. But when they got married or when they got together, here you have Russell Wilson marrying a single mother. And there is this sort of idea, I think, that we sort of, it's a mythology that men who I'm not the stepfather, I'm the man who stepped up, right? We want to ennoble guys who are willing to take that, especially in a religious sense right now. And what, now this is not Hafiz, this is his partner, and I can't remember his name right now, but he's about to read this prayer that Ciara came up with. That I guess it's becoming a little bit more popularized with women who are in the same boat as the woman we just saw on the Steve Harvey show. Find me a man. Where is my prince? Where is my king? Where's my godly ordained man to, come in and what did she say? Step beside me and just join my life and forget about my indiscretions and not be non-judgmental. I'm going to get on that today too, but it's a prayer. It's literally a prayer. Now, I think this is funny because back in, I think it was right around 2005, 2006, might have been before that, but right around the time of The Big Short, when the housing boom was going off right before it crashed, it's particularly in evangelical circles, there was what was called prosperity teaching. Creflo Dollar, if that doesn't ring a bell, I don't know what does. But at that time, there was also a prayer that was going around that was popularized. It was called the Jabez prayer. And it was basically, Lord, please give me some money. Please put that money in my account, right? Or increase my prosperity and whatever. I could read it to you, but go look up the Jabez prayer and look up the popularity of it during that time. Prosperity teaching, by the way, at that time was a big ticket for evangelicals at that time, because you could get it was the ownership society. Remember President Bush, George W. Bush, talking about the ownership society, right? Owning your home. Yeah, with a no interest mortgage and with shady, mortgage deals and everything else that was going. Go watch The Big Short. You'll understand what really the economy was going through at that time. I lived through it. I remember. And I also remember people like, was it not Beth Moore, but I forget the other chick who was there, but Creflo Dollars, a lot of other guys who were trying to say, God wants you to have a house. Well, that was an easy prayer to fulfill when you could get a 0 interest loan, when you could get a an interest-free loan, or you could, defer interest payments for 2 or 3 years. And then of course the market crashed and everything went to hell. And those guys scattered like roaches when the lights come on. You don't hear about prosperity teaching very much, but there was a prayer called the Jabez prayer. Now, when I heard this, when I watched this show with the roommates here, and this was a really brief one. I think it was all of a 10-minute clip, but I thought it was interesting that Ciara, of all people, was coming up with, I don't say it's the Jabez prayer for, sort of spinsters, but it kind of is. And I thought it was funny because here is Ciara, who has dated Future, and then after him got with Russell Wilson. And she's going to be the one who's going to say, well, it was all in God's time. It's like, no, you're not. It's this emotional, it's this need for something outside of yourself to compensate for the reasons the things that you don't understand about the dating market, about the sexual marketplace, the global sexual marketplace. The woman that Steve Harvey was talking to just a moment ago, she doesn't understand. Like I said, she left the show not knowing anything more than she did. But we're going to find some way to sort of mythologize it and find some magical thinking to help us sort of understand and sort of get out of our heads and be, well, it's all fate, or it's astrology, or it's not meant to, it's things just happen for a reason, But I thought it was funny that she would come up with this prayer. So I'm going to let you read it out.
Questionable, respectfully, right? For example, the 50 Cents of the world. Little Bow Wow. I heard somebody online call him a professional thought. I thought that was hilarious. You know what I mean? Future. Yeah. And that's probably the most famous one. And the list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. So she seemingly has been dating these, not the best guys in the world. Mm-hmm. Guys that's broken of heart, let her down, you know, caused a lot of pain and chaos in her life. But somehow,
let's clarify terms. Guys she chose to be with. Let's throw that one in there just to sort of, you know, so we have full disclosure here.
She got away from the attractiveness of the bad guys and really prayed her way
right on time,
getting a Russell Wilson, the good guy, 2-parent house, a Christian, loyal, you know, look like, you know, weigh on your hands and feet all day long. I got you. I would take care of your kids that is not even my kids. So you know that decision that led you into this position in your life?
Yeah.
I'll take all that baggage, all the pain, all the hurt. I would take that on and I will love you for it unconditionally. Women around the world have all been asking how and what prayer did she say to God himself for her to bag a Russell Wilson.
Okay. I know he's being facetious here, so let me just say I get it. I understand. But probably what both of these guys don't understand, or maybe they're willfully overlooking, is this is the epiphany phase in no uncertain terms. She got over those guys. She's completed her journey of self-discovery after she's got a kid with Future and she's got with the other guys and she's had her let's say bad boy days. This is Red Pill 101, by the way. Read the first book. I don't know where else to point you. Read my first book. Read The Rational Male. Talk about exactly this. In I think the third book too. I talk about the epiphany phase. This is when women have to cash out of the sexual marketplace. And if they don't, they turn into 35-year-old woman on Steve Harvey. That's the girl who didn't know the prayer. If only she'd had Ciara's prayer before all of this, then suddenly she would have bagged an alpha male like Russell Wilson, right? Right? Say the Jabez prayer and money will show up in your account. The Lord wants you. It's the ownership society. Lord wants you to have that no interest mortgage. Ladies, the Lord wants you to have your Russell Wilson when you get to be 29 years old, 30. She's probably later than that. When she was 30, I believe, when she married Russell. Pretty sure, if memory serves. Oh, he's into single moms. He's a Christian guy. He's willing to take it. She was older than he was at that time. She's willing to be. He's willing to be the dad who stepped up. And he's Russell fucking Wilson, man, Hall of Fame quarterback. How did you do it, Ciara? Well, let me tell you. I don't understand it myself. Yeah, well, I get criticized for this, or for the epiphany phase, when I talk about the epiphany phase for women, because right now, particularly since I would say the sexual revolution, really, but like for the last, like, say 50 or 60 years in a gynocentric social order, we have done nothing but hamper women when it comes to their sexual selection, when it comes to their understanding the sexual marketplace. But most likely because the sexual marketplace has evolved into something that is unrecognizable to generations prior to the sexual revolution. So yeah, I mean, we're all still kind of like playing this by ear for the last 4 generations, but I think we're pretty well versed in the progress, in the procession that happens here. Now, I as you know, you probably have seen this from preventive medicine. This is the timeline that I came up with for women between the ages of 15 and 50 years old. And as you can see here, if you want to know where this is, it's in the second book. It's in Preventive Medicine. It is a book that I wrote to answer the question, I wish I would have had known all this stuff before I made these decisions, Rollo. Okay, I'll write a whole book about that. Here's what you can expect from women at various phases of their maturity in life. Okay. Right around the 30-year mark right there, the epiphany phase and the transition phase right there, that's when you get Ciara and Russell Wilson. That's when women go, oh, I need some guy who's going to sort of forgive the sins and the indiscretions of my party years, my hoe phase, and find a guy who's going to be the guy who's going to step up. Now, preferably, It's the guy. It's a good guy like Russell Wilson. It's a good guy who's alpha male enough to be the quarterback, MVP quarterback, and he'll see the value for what I am. I'm Ciara, so it doesn't matter if I'm a single mom. I'm still Ciara. Well, Ciara lucked out because she found a guy like Russell Wilson who's very blue pill, very chumpish, very much in line with what I would expect from evangelical Christian men. I'm going to step up. Well, happens to be a very high value guy. I take nothing away from Russell. Okay. The mentality is different. We talked about this. I talked about this not last Sunday, but when I was talking about the Jeff Bezos story, when I was talking about how money does not necessarily make you an alpha male. For whatever if we're going to find a way to define those terms, money is no insulation against the blue pill conditioning, beta male ways of thinking. It's no insurance against that. Being a Hall of Fame I'm sorry, Mike Rashid, but I got to bring you up one more time. It's no insulation from being a blue pill alpha. I'm dead certain that Russell Wilson, very much alpha guy, very team leader, whatever. And there's probably people will probably hate on me for this show in the comments for ever even having the suspicion or the consideration to compare him with being sort of blue pill or for being anything less than alpha. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying he's very blue pill. And we can see that here. But when women try to explain that, then you get things like the Ciara prayer.
That is what's going on here. And I just want to have a message. If you're an independent woman, very, very career-oriented, focused woman.
Here it goes.
Somebody that's probably not in the best of shape.
Dun, 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 dun.
The best of shape. You know what I mean? We all got to get healthy. I'm on that ridge too. Yeah. I understand. Or if you are indulging side chick activities, that prayer ain't going to work for you. I hate to be the one to say it, but I feel like most of these women, if I just pray this, sit back, and let God do the work, a man like a Russell Wilson is going to come knocking on my door, and then I'm going to live happily ever after.
Can you read the prayer to the people for those that might be aware?
Here we go. Jesus, I need you. That's not a bad start. You know what I mean? That's not a bad start. Here we go. Jesus, I need you. I don't fully understand everything right now, but I know you have great plans for me. I'm hurting, but there's purpose in my pain. I need you. I need you to restore my faith and love. Give me strength. I know I can't do it all on my own. I'm tired. I don't want to hurt no more. I don't want to feel like this ever again. Thank you for hearing my cry. Thank you for hearing my heart. I know you'll do what's right with it. Thank you for never judging me. I'm broken, but I'm beautifully broken, Hafiz.
Let me rephrase that. Thank you for not judging me. We'll return to that, but that's an important. I had to highlight that.
She said that directly. It's right here. It says, "I'm beautifully broken, Hafiz. I know you will help me put all of it in the right places. I know my pain is not in vain. I know that my baby is the most precious gift you have given me in life. And I thank you for that. Thank you. Cover and protect us, Lord. I pray the next man in my life will be my husband. I pray he loves me, leads me, guides me, reassures me. I pray that he holds me. I pray that I have everything I want and need in him. I pray he will fall in love with me the way I am. Your love is unconditional. You are the way, the truth, and the life. In you, there's hope. Lord, you say love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. She didn't finish, but she stopped right there. I believe in this pure love. This is what I want. Lord, thank you for reminding me who I am. I am a queen. I deserve to be treated like one. I am a warrior. I would get up. I am a child of God. I'm everything you say I am. I am an overcomer. I am built for this, Lord. I'm ready. In Jesus' name, amen.
There we go. I'm a warrior. I'm a queen. And Jesus, thank you for not judging me. Thank you for that non-judgmental Jesus. Thank you for that non-judgmental God. You know, a funny thing is, every time I've read certainly the Old Testament, God seems pretty judgmental. Call me crazy. God seems pretty judgmental. That's the Ciara prayer for women. Just maybe Steve Harvey missed the boat. Maybe Steve Harvey should have just simply said, you know what? Read the Ciara prayer, honey. Case closed. Next contestant, next audience member, hand him the mic. Why not? Why wasn't that there? Well, the reason for that is because we're looking for magical thinking. We're looking for magical reasons to explain why those women are in the state that they are in. Now, imagine giving that prayer. Maybe she'd believe it too. Who knows? Maybe that's what she needed. She's the Steve Harvey girl. I don't know her name. Seemed like she was very open to something like that. But maybe she's already tried. Ciara's prayer didn't work, so I got to get to maybe Steve Harvey can help me out. I wanted to throw that out there because that is sort of the metaphysical, magical thinking, spiritualism that gets associated with the Epiphany phase. I've made it. If you've read the fourth book, if you've read Religion, you already understand that when from a male perspective, when I talk about guys who are very, sort of dyed in the wool, blue pill guys who've been conditioned to believe in sort of old order thinking and just basically be the blue pill, right? When you mix that with religion, that guy is just that much harder to unplug from the matrix later on. And it is that much more difficult for the guy who is religious when he has that point of crisis and he wants to understand the nature of women at that point. And he gets to a point where he's like open to like red pill awareness and the praxology of the red pill, whatever you want to call it, but learning about his own nature and learning about women's nature and learning about the game that he's actually in rather than the one he's been told he's in for the last, probably most of his life, right? That's very difficult because not only is it a challenge, it's iconoclastic, right? It's not only is the red pill a challenge to what you think should be the idealized state between men and women, it is also a challenge to what you think your religion has told you about how things ought to be between men and women. You find out that it's not the case. Now it's not only a sort of a crisis of understanding, your nature and women's nature and intersexual dynamics. It's also a crisis of faith. And that's tough. And that's why I point that out. If you want to read more about that, that's in my fourth book, The Rational Male Religion. But there's kind of I'm starting to see sort of a parallel to this when it comes to the state of women right now. So women, we've talked about this 100 different times. These accountability podcasts, of course. But when I look at like Steven Crowder talking about women's unrealistic expectations of men, or I watch, say, Matt Walsh, also another religious guy, talk about responsibility, or Candace Owens, men would just man up, or they would then women would shape up. We would have better women if men would be better men. Take the responsibility. Well, men don't have the authority, as I've said, but I think that when we're trying to explain why women are facing no kids, mom wants kids, when they're facing things like that, or they're wondering, okay, well, I'm 35 years old now and I don't have any real prospects. And it seems like all the guys aren't going to college. They're not making much of themselves. They're not preparing themselves like the Lord wants them to be better husbands and better men and this and that, because they don't see any real incentive for them, particularly not a ball busting alpha female. That's what they get for making the most, for being the best version of themselves, right? For chasing excellence. That's who I'm supposed to expect at the end of that. That's the pussy at the end of the rainbow. No, especially if I'm 35 and you're 35 and I'm like, okay, well, I'm 35. I'm at the peak of my sexual market value as a guy. I mean, it's 36, 37. Got to make him a little bit older than this girl. I'm 36, 37 years old. I'm at the peak of my sexual market value. I'm single. I know what I want. I understand the red pill. I'm red pill aware. I understand my own value to women. I've used the female delusion calculator for that. I know what I'm worth, and I don't choose you. I select you out. That right there is why women hate the red pill. That's why they think, oh, you're an incel. You're an incel. You're black pill. You're a doomer. There's something wrong with you, for pointing out what anyone else online can find out. For pointing out exactly what women are proudly, triumphantly broadcasting on Instagram every fucking day. That's the long and the short of it. It's not guys going, I got to fiendishly find all this research to prove all this stuff that I suspect of women's nature. No, they don't have to do that. They see it every single day on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on wherever. They see it. It's proven for them, black and white all the time. Just me showing stats. The rational male, ROLLO Tomassi, being the guy he is, showing you the stats. All that does is reinforce whatever's going on. Yeah, exactly. Oh, who hurt you? Oh, yeah. That's you're probably not serious, but that's the whole thing. It's like, they don't want to know that. That's why you get that emotional reaction. That's why you get who hurt you, because they don't want to look at the stats. It's, as I said, I just work here, man. I just connect dots. I just hold up a mirror. You have to want to look into it yourself. You have to want to look at it. And most women don't. They have to look at, there's the emotional component that goes along with this as well. It's bad feels. I don't want to look in the mirror. Why? Because it feels bad. Well, you won't be the chick at 35 on Steve Harvey wondering where your alpha male prince is if you look in this mirror. I'm trying to, if anything, this is preventive medicine for women. That's what really female accountability is. I can remember in March when I was doing that show with Giga Karen, the first thing out of her mouth, she was, when you're presenting things in no uncertain terms and you're using rational male language, and you're saying, here's the stats, here's what's going to happen, here's where you're at. You're 34, 35 years old. Odds are, statistically speaking, you're probably not going to find the guy that you think that you are entitled to at that age, because you haven't made you're not feminine. You're not anything that guys who you think deserve your attention, or are your Scottie Pippen to your Michael Jordan. Those guys, no, you don't deserve those guys. Sorry, not sorry, but that's how it works. Pointing that out feels bad. And so therefore what happens is they have an emotional response to that. But the first thing out of Amanda, Giga Karen, the first thing out of her mouth is, I guess I'm going to die alone. Maybe, probably. And in some ways I kind of feel just a little bit bad, right? I am sympathetic, ladies. I'm sympathetic to the fact that you have been sold a bill of goods. I'm sympathetic that a gynecological social order has made quite a bit of money off of you, and also convinced generation after generation of women that the only way to live a good, successful, fun, productive life as a woman is to live it more like a man, to be an alpha male with tits and vagina. So, and I think that pointing this stuff out becomes very difficult. Well, certainly it's very hard for women to hear, but it's almost harder, I think, for guys who are dependent on their brand of me to soften that blow. You see what I'm saying right here? See where I'm going with this? Like Steve Harvey had to soften the blow. It's like he doesn't want to, he pulls his punches. He pulls his punches because he's still in that feminine female mindset. The roommates do this all the time. They want to backpedal from the red pill. They love the red pill. They sneak up on it and go, hey, we're kind of red pill, until whatever the red pill is saying is unflattering to women. Oh, well, but we don't believe in that. That's the purple pill, by the way. Oh, what's the purple pill? Rollo, what's this purple pill thing? That's it. That's a fantastic illustration of that. Pick and pull the parts of the red pill that work for your brand or that won't offend women, or hey, this is a red pill fact, right? Women are better at communication than men are in certain contexts, right? Their brains are wired differently for communication. That's just how they are, right? Survival and strength in numbers, right? Communitarian. Why are women predisposed to communitarianism? Because if evolutionarily speaking, they had to rely on each other for security. They're the berry pickers. The men are the hunters. Men are hierarchical. Women are communitarian. Men are interested in things. Women are interested in people. They have a better facility for communication. And when I point out studies that show that, women have a better facility for communication, women are, oh yeah, well, I love it. But if I go and I say, well, men have a better spatial, rotation, something like that, right? They're more better at rational thinking, right? We're better at mathematics. We're more attracted to things like that. We're more attracted to engineering. We're more attracted to things like that where we can exercise our will on the world. Men are more interested in things. Women are more interested in people. You point out the studies for, independent studies or specific studies that say, like, hey, men can throw a rock more accurately than a woman. No, they can't. Oh my God. What are you, a misogynist? Who hurt you? Yeah. Spatial acuity. There you go. Oh my God, I can't believe you would think such a thing. No, but yeah, because my synapses are wired differently than yours, madam. That's why. But if I go and I say that and I hold up that mirror, then I'm a misogynist and I'm an asshat. But if I say something that's flattering, well, that's fine. Well, okay, so that's the dynamic. Now, imagine you are Coach Corey Wayne and you're on a show where women can't believe what you're saying. Are you going to soften the blow? Or imagine you're Kevin Samuels and you have Brittany Renner on there. And she is clinically, certifiably, neurologically, neurotic, psychotic, pathological. That girl got a lot of problems.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, she's got a lot of problems. You go and you look at her Instagram feed where she's like by herself in a car or she's at home with a glass of Chardonnay. And I'm sorry, Donovan, Chardonnay is definitely her drink of choice. If you look at any of the videos of her reels on Instagram, that girl likes buttery Chard. Trust me. We had a bet what her drink, a Hennessy. Like they thought it was Hennessy. I don't think so. But she is nuts. She's certifiably nuts. She is calculatingly nuts. Now, why am I bringing up Brittany Renner? It's not to put Kevin Samuels on the spot. He's going to do whatever's best for his brand. But the reason I'm bringing her up is because how old is Brittany Renner? 29. How old is Michaela Peterson? 29. When did Ciara hook up and marry, certainly hooked up with, but marry Russell Wilson? 29, 30, somewhere in there. Certainly 30. I know she was married to him by 30. Right on schedule, baby. How old is Tomi Lahren today as of this date in 2021? 29. Wow. And what gets me is I get shit thrown at me from guys going, well, maybe she's learned something in that time. I certainly hope so. But guys give me this think that I'm being like diabolical by pointing out the fact that in some cases, calculatedly so, certainly in Brittany Renner's case, but when women get to that point, that's when the epiphany phase kicks in. And if we can add, well, I got to get right with God now. I'm going to create this prayer. Now I've got to, now I'm going, even Michaela Peterson on October 24th comes out with that video, and I have it right here. I'm holding it for another show, but that video where she says, oh yeah, I started praying again. I'm sure you have. You're 29 years old and you're about to divorce your husband, Andre. And sure enough, yesterday, day before, right on schedule. Right on schedule. So it's not me like being a dickhead saying, oh, well, they're malicious and evil. I'm not saying that. Most of these women would pass a lie detector test. If you told them, say, well, did you know that you were 29 years old and you needed to cash out of the sexual marketplace? They don't know. They don't. Because where they live in a society, they live in a gynocentric social order that excuses that. Well, you're just on your journey of self-discovery. Oh, well, I'm done with the bad boys. Even wasn't Hafiz, but it was his partner, saying the same thing. I'm done with my indiscretions. I was so crazy in my college years, in my party years, in my hoe phase. I was so crazy. But now I'm done. Now I'm going to get right with God. Now you, Mr. Russell Wilson, you've got some hoops to jump through. You've got some high bars to jump over, mister, if you want to get with this. Because I'm a queen. I am a princess of the Most High. And you need to shape up, mister. Here's the rules. Here's the rules you're going to have to follow to get with a gal like me. Now, women who would be saying that, I'm sure if I were to petition, well, certainly the 35-year-old when she was younger, but Michaela Peterson, certainly Ciara when she was younger, certainly Tomi Lahren. I mean, Brittany Renner, definitely Brittany Renner. I'm surprised Brittany Renner, and maybe she has, I just haven't seen it yet, but I'm surprised Brittany Renner hasn't played the God card yet. when women get to the epiphany phase and they know the chips are down and they know that their sexual market value is decaying, they do one of two things, or sometimes both. They rely on the fact first of all, they shame men because men are just infantile screwballs who are not to be trusted, and they can't understand why they're not finding them attractive. Number two is they pull the God card. That's why Christianity was the first religion to fall to gynocentrism, by the way, because it's based on forgiveness, more or less. I covered that in the book as well. There's nothing that panders to that more than, that's okay, don't worry about it. God doesn't judge me. Why should you? What? And that's I think that the whole non-judgmental, judgmental thing is also a very insidious, endemic part of a gynocentric social order, because women know that their digital footprint and their sexual past and their sexual indiscretions mean something. Even on an evolutionary, instinctual level, it means something to guys. That's why Russell Wilson is such an incredible catch, because he's an alpha dude. He's definitely, obviously, confirmedly high value guy. Sorry, Mac, I know you hate the guy. But yeah, okay. Mahomes is a great quarterback too. Got it. Okay, I know who you're a rooter for. Definitely a high value guy. How do I get that guy? Well, how do I get the guy who's going to wife up a single mommy that's of that high a caliber? Appeal to divinity, apparently. Say the Ciara prayer, not the Jabez prayer, but the Ciara prayer, and your man will come to you. So it's not about this maliciousness, although it might be, it certainly is in the case of Brittany Renner, but it's not about that maliciousness. It's about the fact that we will conveniently forgive it at the right place, at the right time in a woman's life, in that phase, in this phase right here. Right here is where we'll forgive it. Right at that, look at the 30-year mark right there. Again, if you want to know where this graph comes from, it comes from my second book, which is Preventive Medicine, available on Amazon. Go get it. But right around the 28, 29, 27, 28, 29 mark, that's when I peg women at about the epiphany phase. And then there's what I call the transition phase, which is really sort of the second half of the epiphany phase, is where women's priorities change. And boy, did Ciara's change. Ciara, her priorities changed. She went from going with a guy like, I think what's funny, and I got to throw this out there too. Look at the contrast between like Ciara and her life, and then look at Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith is the unsuccessful version of Ciara. Jada should have had the Ciara prayer back when she was with Tupac. That's when she should have said that. Because Will Smith was not the guy that was not the king that the Lord was supposed to bequeath upon the queen. Okay, so this is my last and final video here today, and then I'll get back to super chats here in just a moment. So bear with me. I mentioned Coach Corey Wayne's name for a reason here, and I'm going to get to this. I got this sort of sent to me at the last minute, and I thought it was perfect to sort of tag into today's episode. Because it is a good illustration of what I was just saying about how women will find convenient emotional ways to rationalize what is unignorable data, what is unignorable stats, what is unignorable in their face, dots being connected, and not by me, by other people, certainly by blackpill guys, by MGTOWs, whatever it is. And of course, the standard default is, well, these guys they're just sexless virgin losers, and they're just bitter and burned by girls, and so that's why they bring this stuff up. And it's like, no, this is objective data. What is deal with it? Here's my data sets. Here's what the studies have found. What do you think? You're just bitter and burned for bringing this up. Mm-hmm. All right, you asked for it. Here you go.
So this next comment is from Nelson D. And Nelson said, bless her heart for being that ignorant. If a girl has a high body count, she opens Pandora's box. They have a lesser chance for pair bonding, and they tend to not be able to stay in a LTR.
Long-term relationship.
Long-term relationship. Always moving from guy to guy. When the woman gives too much of herself to random men, she will have nothing left to give to her husband. These are men that also run into this problem, having a high body count. There are men. Let me think about that one.
So people, men and women that have sex with a lot of people, 60 and up, don't tend to pair bond as well, as what he's saying. And statistics and studies show that, I suppose, that having lots of sexual partners means that you are not able to pair bond. I think that's so subjective. I think people change.
Oh boy. All right. So there, let's start with that one right there. Remember what I just said a moment ago? We were picking apart the Ciara prayer. And part of that was, thank you, Lord, for not judging me. Non-judgmentalism, you will hear, I've been hearing it for the last like 6 or 7 years, but yeah, I think you're going to hear that intensify more and more. Because the more women's sexual strategy comes to light, the uglier aspects of it, the unflattering aspects of it, the more you're going to hear for appeals to not being judgy, not being judgmental. And I've mentioned this on Rule Zero a few times. I've certainly mentioned it here a few times, but I've never dedicated an entire show to it. And I may or may not do it. We'll see. I'm thinking about actually adding it to a post or a book that I'm writing. So, well, not the game book, but another one. But the idea of judgmentalism or being non-judgy is endemic right now. I watched this series and it wasn't too bad, but I watched this series on Netflix and it was called Clickbait. And if you haven't seen Clickbait, I'm not going to say it's a red pill movie, but I didn't hate it, put it that way. But again, as you know, and I'm sure you guys are probably already aware, I watch things or I listen to things, or anytime I consume media, or like even if I read fiction or if I'm watching a movie, or people say, here, watch this, right? Here, it comes up as suggested in your feed. I always use my red pill lens, and I think you guys do too, right? That's why 80s power ballads are ruined for everyone because of poor old me. But whenever I'm watching something, I'm listening for language, because 9 times out of 10, the script is written by women or a man with female sensibilities, not unlike Steve Harvey, by the way. Or else it's written and directed, or I shouldn't say it. Maybe it's written by men, but it's directed by women, or the screenplay was written by women. The story might've been a guy and it was adapted from, Michael Crichton did Westworld. But if you look at who the writers are and the script writer, and you look at the directors and everything, most of it is female. And so when I was watching Clickbait, I'm sort of listening to the script, right? I hate myself about this now because I have to pick this stuff apart. But I listen and I hear this all the time. Non-judgment. I wouldn't judge you. I've never judged you. And there's a point in this, and I know if you've seen this movie, if you've seen this series, it's only like 8-part series. But if you've seen this, I forget which one it was, like maybe the 4th episode. And it comes to light that the guy who is like the primary victim in this whole setup, and I won't give it away, his wife had an affair on him, and it came to light. It was proven that, the guy came forward. She copped to it, admitted to it. And she's having this sort of heart-to-heart talk with her mom. And the first thing her mom says to her is, I love you, baby. I've never judged you. And I thought, judged, there it is again. I've never judged you for anything you've done, kind of thing. And then there's another, if you go and you listen to the rest of the script throughout, like the rest of the episodes, at some point in every episode, you will hear, I've never judged you. You're going to get judged because they think something of you, or they think something of me, or judge. And I'm like, why is that so important that we have to repeat that script through script, line through line? And the reason for that is because it's the only way to cover women's tracks. That's why you remember the wife was caught in adultery, right? Infidelity. Well, that is the non-judgy thing. The non-judgmentalism is something that women, or especially nowadays, have to fall back on because they can't cover their tracks. Here we have this older woman. I don't know how she is, but she's saying, well, maybe stats say that. Yeah, they do. And there's a lot of them. What are you going to do with that data? Well, you're being judgmental. No, I'm not. I'm being objective and I'm showing you the data sets. What is your response? Her response? Who hurt you? That's what the response, essentially, that's what it is. It's usually, wow, these guys are bitter and burned or whatever. It's the don't be judgmental. Now, why is that so important? Because as women go through this timeline between 15 and right around, well, and certainly after 30, but right up to the transition phase of this, a lot of shit happens. That's when women have their primary window to sort of explore and to be at their peak sexual agency. That's why women have higher body counts right now. We would not be having the same conversation were this in eras or generations prior to the sexual revolution, prior to hormonal birth control. This is not an issue, or it's certainly way, way, way less of an issue. It's not to say that there weren't loose women and prostitutes back then, but let's just be honest now. The casual sex thing that we take for granted in the 21st and latter half of the 20th century is a new invention for humankind, for humanity right now. And so when we empower women, trademark, when we empower women to have sexual selection, to be in control of essentially the human reproductive process as a result of all this, well, you got to break a lot of eggs to make that omelet. And so there's a lot of indiscretions, as we were just saying a moment ago with Ciara getting with the bad boys. I'm done with my bad boys. Don't judge me. Russell Wilson won't judge me. God won't judge me. I know you've never judged me. I would hope to hell God judges you. I would hope so. Because if not, then what's the point? What's the point of the faith? What's the point of the belief? If there isn't some kind of, well, I'm not living my life right, but if that's the case, it's all forgiveness and no judgment. And that's what I was digging at with Ciara. And that's what I'm going to dig at here in just a minute. It's certainly what I was digging at with the girl who was on Steve Harvey. I want absolution for my sins, Pastor Harvey, Pastor Russell Wilson, Pastor Redpill. I want absolution. God, that was a great song by Ghost. Absolution. I want absolution for my party years, for all of the guys. I want absolution for all my alpha widow guys. I'm an alpha widow. All those guys that came before you. I want absolution for that. I want absolution for being a single mama. You should want me no matter what. I should be the one that you've got a lot of rules and a lot of a very high bar for you to step over there, Mr. Wilson. Mr. whoever alpha male that you are from the Steve Harvey show. You have a lot of responsibility that you need to live up to. And if you don't, well, then you're not the mighty man of God I thought you were going to be. Well, this is the secular version of that.
Based on their experiences, imagine a college girl or a college frat boy, and they have sex with like different people every weekend. They're out just experiencing life. Maybe they grew up in a really Christian culture, like a really strict home, and they weren't allowed to go out or stay out late, and they're finally in college and they're having fun, experiencing, and they can rack up body counts in college over 4 years if you think about it. That
52 weeks in a year.
That does not reflect who they're going to be in life. You're 4 years in college, or you're a young person being sexually active for your first time. Or maybe it would be the girl who has the single mom who doesn't care how late she stays out, and she's kind of sleeping around, and those. Okay.
So this is in complete controversion to the facts. Okay. She's not going to be the same person. Yeah, of course she's not going to be the same person, because her circumstances, her necessity is going to change. And if men are going to judge women by their certainly their Instagram footprints, certainly their sexual history, certainly their old OnlyFans account they had before you came along to marry her, certainly the guy she was with in her hoe phase, that women are supposed to be proud of right now. And I'm not, whatever, let your freak flag fly for all I care. But the thing is there are consequences that come with that. There are consequences for that. There are consequences for the choices that you make. And women they want absolution from those consequences. So we make up a prayer and say, Lord, please give me a Russell Wilson so that I can be absolved of getting with Future, of getting with the bad boys, of having my bad boy. I was so crazy in my college years. She just basically mentioned that right now. It's this need for absolution from judgment, from discernment, from saying, you know what? This woman would be a good wife and mother of my children, and this one wouldn't. How dare you? How dare you have I feel like Mark Driscoll. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you think of such a thing? How dare you judge me? God doesn't judge me. Why would you judge me? How dare you? Jump through my hoops. My frame. You come in here. You want some of this? You want this pussy? You have to jump through my hoops. And that means first hoop, don't be judgmental. Of what? Of the stuff that I've done in my past. Because that's not me. Well, no, but a lot of that stuff, it is you if you're an alpha widow. It is you if you're Jada Pinkett Smith at 49 years old, looking back on your days with Tupac and then your infidelity with August, and then August Alsina, and then coming up with some cock and bull story about entanglements. Why would you need that if you didn't expect people to be judgmental of you? Why would you come up with like little euphemisms like that? Because that's what people do. And we should be more judgmental. Gentlemen, men, you have to be more judgmental. You have to see the red flags, right? Andre, you should have seen the red flags. Didn't you know Michaela Peterson was nuts? A real man would have figured that out. No, he wouldn't, because it's not apparent at that time. And God forbid you be guilty of being judgmental of a great gal like Michaela Peterson. God forbid you would be judgy of actually putting a baby in Casey Anthony. God forbid you would, be Future and put a baby in Ciara, and then Russell Wilson might come and Russell Wilson comes along, or Will Smith comes along to absolve you of your whole face. It's very important. Well, why is it so important for guys to consider? Why do guys, only insecure guys, get upset about a woman's sexual past? Right? No, men in general do, because we're wired that way. We're supposed to. We get jealous. We look for, men want assertion of paternity. We want to know the baby's ours. So when women say, oh, well, women will do this to each other. Women slut shame women way more than men do, because they want to disqualify that woman from the sexual marketplace. They want high value men to see that girl in the red dress and the hoop earrings to go, oh, well, only a prostitute would wear that. I can't believe she'd wear something like that. Whoa, boy, you really like that? You really like the girl in the red dress with the big boobs and blonde hair and blue eyes and hoop earrings? Right? You really like that? She's a slut. You must like slut. Oh, I don't want to like slut. Well, the reason why that's sort of intra-sexual combat is because it's judgmental. It's because on a root level, on the instinct, on the hindbrain, lizard brain level, women realize that to disqualify a woman from the sexual marketplace so that they have a better chance with a higher value guy, they got to disqualify that girl. How do I do? What's the best way to do that? Be judgy. Be a judgy bitch. Call her a skank, call her a slut, and shame the guy for wanting to get with her. Oh, only losers, only scumbags would want to get with a girl like that. Oh. But you wore it last week when you were ovulating. It doesn't matter. Listen, don't listen to me. But yeah, because that women know, I said, like on a gut level, on an instinctual level, that men select women for paternity issues. Like, who's a good bet for paternity? Well, not the girl who gets around, and only girls that look like that are bad bets for your paternity. Women use it all the time. They're judgy all the time, except for when it comes to them. And then you're not supposed to. Even God, the Most High, the creator of the universe, because he's so perfect, will not be judgmental of you. That is some major epic cosmic universal like hubris when you think about it. That is like, holy shit, God's not judging of me. So you're basically channeling, you're speaking at this point. Whoa. But that's the thing, is like, and she's going to get into this here in a little bit more, is that's where she's at. And it's taken for granted. This is like, of course, everybody knows that. Everybody knows God wants. Everybody knows this stuff. Wow. So I think this is becoming, as I was saying before, I think this is becoming the non-judgmental narrative is becoming more important because women's past is becoming more and more unignorable and more unavoidable. So when women say, like she said, well, you know, a woman might have 60 partners by the time she gets out of college. Probably more than that, actually. But I wouldn't find that shocking. I have, after all, been on the Fresh and Fit podcast after our show. But yeah, but the key word here, the operative in all of this is don't be judgmental. Well, why? Because you might think that I'm a bad bet for paternity. I'm not going to be the same person. Of course you're not. You're going to be more necessitous at 35 years old, clearly, than you are at 25 years old or 23 or 22 or whenever you're in college. Yes, you're definitely going to be a different person. You're going to have different needs. And one of those needs is finding a guy who's not going to judge you or who's going to be convinced and be stupid enough to not see what his own worth is when he has sexual selection. And when that sexual selection is clouded by these red pill guys teaching guys not to get with women who have a sexual past. Yeah, that goes against the narrative for sure.
Kinds of girls in high school that can do whatever they want. They don't have a lot of parental structure. Does that necessarily dictate who they're going to be as adults and their ability to pair bond? What do you think, Gracie? You're that age now.
I think when you're bringing a husband into it, saying that if she gives all herself to other men, she won't have enough to give to her husband. But people earn these, or not earn, that's a bad way to say it. People gain this body count over time. It's not all in one night or a week. It's over time it grows. So I don't actually know what point I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, because you're too young to understand what the fuck is coming out of your mouth. That's why. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I sounds right, sounds truthy, that this is the way things are going to happen. But unfortunately, data sets say something a whole lot different. Like this data set right here. Oh, let me take her out. Hold on a second. That's covering it. When we look at reported marital happiness, when we look at divorce rates, when we look at, do I have that other one in here? I do. Okay, this is the full set right here. This is from, I believe this is CDC data. God damn it, sorry. It's a little bit too small for you guys to see. I always put this up there and I don't think about the size issue here. Where did I go? Oh, okay, there it is. Maybe you can see it better if I do it this way. Better. Okay, hold on one second. Let me put this back up. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, this will be easier to see. Now I'm going to. I will feature that whole thing. This is a CDC data sets. That is the very inconvenient truth that she's being confronted with at this stage. I don't know if you guys can see this. If I move things around here. Let's see. Women who have more non-marital sexual partners are less likely to be happy. That is from CDC. Now, this is kind of old data, but the new data actually gels with it too. Women who have more non-marital sexual partners are more likely to be infected by sexually transmitted diseases. I think that that's pretty much a given. Women who have more non-marital sexual partners are less likely to have stable marriages. This was as far back as the 90s, I believe. So when you look at 0, you get a virgin bride, she's more likely to be happy and married, 80.47%, right? This is self-reporting, right? But this is like one data set. There's several others. What was the other one here? Women who have non-marital sexual partners are more likely to be depressed. So you're looking at depression levels. You're looking at so states of depression, states of marital happiness, however they qualify that. You're looking at divorce rates. Divorce rates are much higher for women who have higher notch counts. Sexually transmitted diseases, I think that's pretty much a given. So you're looking at all these data sets. It's right there, black and white. But we don't, it's like, no, don't be judgmental, right? Because women, again, the sort of the consequences that go along with women's sexuality is it's always conflated with like sexual repression. It's always conflated with judgmentalism. And of course, good old Corey Wayne's about to make that state his case here in just a moment. So actually, let me put that back.
I'm just trying to say, like, her husband's long term. At my age,
Right.
like, a husband is in like long time from now. I'm not thinking about
That's what I was thinking. Your high school and college days. Imagine you don't get married till you're 32. You're talking about like 15 years of being sexually active. You're gonna be out having a good time. Does that dictate whether you're gonna be a faithful, loyal, or wife or husband,
Yes.
or does that dictate whether a woman has anything left to give her husband? She's going to be experienced and knowledgeable and strong and smart, and she's going to know what she wants. And maybe these guys don't like that. Maybe they.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the shame side of things here, but let me just take this to task right now. Okay, statistically speaking, you are wrong, 100% wrong. Wait, I got to throw this one in.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
I didn't see that one coming, did you? You are wrong, my friend. Very, very wrong. Statistically speaking, the data doesn't back you up, my dear. And it doesn't back you up either, Corey Wayne. So just saying here, you don't have to be everybody's friend. So when I'm watching this, I'm like, well, it doesn't mean that she's not. No, but there is such ask. Let's look. Maybe we should ask Will Smith if that's the case. Should we? Maybe we should go back in time. Should we go back in time? Maybe we should ask the 35-year-old that we just saw interviewed on Steve Harvey. Perhaps she has an insight that we might be able to relate to in making these very bold assertions. Why? Don't be judgmental. Because being judgmental will disqualify you from the consideration for a long-term commitment from a guy who is 36, 37, 38 years old, right around the time you're saying, well, I'm 32. Maybe that's when I want to get married. Well, you're out of the market by then. Just ask the girl who's 35 years old. She had 3 chances, man. She had 3 long-term relationships and had canceled 1 wedding. Wasn't good enough. Nah. I'm going to wait for this next guy who's coming along here just in a moment. Yeah. One of the, this is actually from the first book. I have a chapter in the Rational Male. It's called The Threat. And it leads off with, I'm going to paraphrase here. It leads off with this is like, there's nothing that is more simultaneously arousing to a woman and threatening to a woman than a man who understands his own value to women. And that's what the red pill does. Exactly what the red pill does. And that's exactly what these statistics do. That's exactly what this understanding is. So with whole conversation, I don't care if you're black pill, red pill, whatever, white pill, this pill, I don't care, whatever it is. If you're in this male space and you're having this conversation, this is not the conversation. This is the judgment that women don't want you to have. They don't want you to think about these things because they want to be able to go through their party years and their hoe phase and be absolved for it later. And this is the absolution. Well, women are going to be different. They're going to give their all. Bullshit. According to plan, as we've seen through Tommy Laird, Michaela Peterson, Ciara for sure. Name the instance, name the illustration here. You get these women who get into this position where they're like, okay, the lights in the club are coming on. My sexual market value is decaying. I got to find some guy to leave the club with before the night is up. And preferably a dumb beta who's made a good living for himself, who's done the work, who's a good bet into my 30s. And you know what that guy is doing? You know what most beta males are doing? Like betas in waiting is what I've called them in the past. You know what they're thinking? They're thinking that any girl that finally gets with them, they're buying into this narrative, by the way. Beta males who get to be right around 30, 32, or whatever, within that same kind of epiphany phase demographic, those guys are thinking the same thing. They're thinking, well, I don't want to be judgmental and I'm going to align myself with women. And what do they say? That the worst thing in the world is for me to be judgmental. So I'm not going to be. And so what happens is the girl of their dreams finally comes through their door. She finally come around. She's finally finished her journey of self-discovery in her hoe phase. And now she's ready to settle down. And now you better shape up, mister, jump through these hoops, and we're going to settle down and have a life together. You're going to, what did the lady on Steve Harvey, you're going to walk up beside me and just take your place. Doesn't matter who you are. Just, it's time for you to be here. And so that doesn't happen if the guy says, you know what, maybe I don't want to get with the girl whose Instagram and OnlyFans account and all of her digital footprints show that she's been, I don't know, having gangbangs and got run through all the way up to where she is right now. Maybe I don't want, maybe I'm the king and I get to decide who it is that I want to get with. No. You're supposed to be right here. And most guys will believe that. They'll buy into that. They'll think, well, you know, we all go through that phase. No, especially not now because it's a different generation. But you want to know why the average age of first marriage is 29 for men and 28-ish, maybe a little later for women? Why is that? Because more and more women want to prolong that hoe phase. That's when they are at their most marketable, and they have the very short window to live that out, to, you know, be sexual, whatever it is. But really, what is it for? To find a guy who they can lock down eventually. And yes, it does carry over. It carries over because what happens is when those women find those guys, those good beta males who they can finally settle on, or at least in some way feel good about settling with, they're still pining for the guys they were banging in their hoe phase, the 60 plus, whatever number she's mentioned. There's still those guys that she's comparing those dudes to. That's what it comes down to. It's as visceral as this sounds. That's what it comes down to. Alpha widows compare the guy that they're with to the guy that they were with, the one that got away. They'll write songs about it, right? You know, Katy Perry. That's why. But we want to ignore that. And we want absolution from our past indiscretions that I can't get away from.
They want a quiet woman who doesn't ask questions.
There are also obviously guys that don't have a lot of experience with women. They have a model of the world or a model of the way they want women to be, and they're responding to that, and they feel intimidated by it. The vibe that I see is these are the guys that watch the jocks, the popular good-looking dudes, you know, bang half the cheerleaders in high school, and they wanted to be that guy. They wanted to know what it was like, and now they're here learning this stuff from me.
No, Corey, what they've learned is women's nature. Certainly in this 20th century, again, the old order thinking is that we're living in happy days, right? We're living in, step off, McFly. You know, we're living in the days where there's a bully. There's Biff, right? Biff is there to like push you away from the girl that you were with. But what we never include in that equation is that the chicks wanted to get with Biff. They did. They wanted to get with Chad. They wanted to get with Tyrone, whatever we're calling it right now. They've been wanting to do that for a long time. That's the nature of the beast. We're just now figuring out through data sets and connecting dots that this is the real deal. And yeah, there's a lot of guys who can't deal with that. And yes, he is also correct. And statistically speaking, guys aren't getting laid. We look at the general survey study from 2018, 2019. We can see demographically speaking that men have never since they started keeping these stats anyways, between 2008 and 2018, men, you know, the sexlessness in society, either the last half of the millennials and certainly in Gen Z, women are still getting fucked. Women are definitely still getting laid. Men aren't. That's what they're pointing out. That's what they're showing. And you have no answer to that. It's not a black pill, red pill issue. It's a data issue. It's not, oh, I got burned. Oh, who hurt you? That's not the issue. That's not the point. The point is, here's the data. How are you parsing this? How are you separating this? What does this show? What are the indicators? What are the dots that we can connect from this data? Who hurt you? All you're doing is lining yourself up with that same female way of thinking. Yeah. Are there guys that go, oh, well, you know, they're bitter and burnt? Yeah, they are, but they're not. It's not that. It's not that they're still pissed off and jealous and envious of Chad banging half of the cheerleaders. What they're saying, the reason why they're hopeless and pissed off and really mad at themselves is because of the data, not because of the guy in high school. That's old order, man. That's happy days, man. That's like 80s, 90s. That's 20th century thinking, Corey. 21st century thinking is seeing the data sets. 21st century thinking is this stuff, man. You know, how men rate women versus how women rate men. That's what this is about. It's not about like, you know, no, you're so, stop playing armchair psychologist. Stop being Steve Harvey. It sounds right. It sounds truthy. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to lessen the impact. The blow, the punch in the face that you should have is saying, here's what it is. These are the data sets. Because you don't do men any favor and you don't do women any favor when you don't address shit like this, when you don't address empirical evidence that's right here in your fucking face. You don't do anybody any favor. You don't solve the problem. You just, I guess everything's good. Buy my book.
And you can tell they're pissed off. They're bitter. They feel like they didn't get what they felt they deserved. They didn't get enough of the women that they deserved. They didn't get the pretty girl that they always wanted. And because their body counts are low, they feel because I mean, the reality is for women, it's just any night they go out, they can just, all they have to do is say yes and they go home with a guy because the guys are always approaching women. And most of these guys are guys that didn't have that experience, that didn't have many, if any, experiences going out to a bar or a nightclub or a party at a friend's house or whatever and meeting a chick and clicking and just going home and hooking up and never seeing her again. And so when they see a beautiful, desirable woman and they have the impression that she's had several guys that she's been with, they feel intimidated by it because that's not their experience. And so in order to knock the woman down and so they don't feel so bad about themselves, they're like, oh, well, she's got a high body count. She's a slut. She's a whore. She's been run through. The whole football team banged her or whatever. And I, you know, and they're Mr., you know, white knight, Mr. Perfect man. But in the reality is that they didn't have the confidence. Maybe they didn't develop their body or their physique. Because the reality is it's, you know, I think it's 74% of Americans are either obese or overweight. And I look back at, you can look at video from the 1980s when we were growing up, and like even people I went to high school with, there was a handful of people in our class that were fat or overweight. And now it's the majority of people in the population, your dating pool or the sexual market, if you will, is most people are overweight or out of shape and they don't work out and they don't take care of themselves just because of the diet. And so if you're a guy that's healthy and fit and in shape, like, you know, me being a 51-year-old dude, I see 19 girls Gracie's age checking me out, checking out my ass, or old ladies staring at me because I wear tight-fitting clothes and they can tell I'm in shape and I look good. And obviously as a man, I like that. But if I was just a bunch of blubber walking around, I would be totally invisible to most women.
I would agree. I would agree that the serving sizes in restaurants became ridiculous.
Wow. Now we're going to get to obesity and serving sizes in restaurants. And oh boy, now again, pivot, distract. The fact of the matter is this, is that men look for signs of paternity. They look for good bets. Why would that even be a thing for human males, for primates in the first place? Why would a woman's sexual past have any different? Why would women call other women sluts for their hoe phase, for their past indiscretions? Why? Why would that be a thing? Remember, when it comes to slut shaming, it's not men who are, God forbid, men would never want to do so. I'm not saying that some men don't, they do. But primarily, when it comes to slut shaming, it's other women that are slut shaming women. That's what it comes down to, because it's an intrasexual combat tactic. And why is it a tactic? Because what it's saying is you should not get with that woman because she's a bad bet for paternity. She gets around. If you have sex with her and she has a baby, you will not know that it is your baby. From an evolutionary perspective, that's what that means. And yes, when a woman has more partners than ever before, certainly since the sexual revolution, when she has more, her notch count is very, very high. Yes, remember, this is still the experiment. We're in the experiment right now. The test subjects are running the experiment, man. We don't know. Now we're seeing the consequences of it. I'm not saying that the chick who was on Steve Harvey was a skank or anything like that. I don't know, but I do know this. She was sold a bill of goods. She was sold this empowerment narrative that led her to become who she is, that put her in the predicament and the conditions that she is in right now. That's where she's at. And the same thing can be said for women who have high body count, who can't pair bond, who have a more difficult time of pair bonding. I did an essay, and I promise you I will throw it into the link in here. But I did one of my most trafficked essays in the history of the Rational Male was one called Saving the Best for Last. And the reason I wrote that is because it was based on a true story of this guy who had found, actually it wasn't even online, he just found like videotapes of his wife who was kind of like, frigid with him, for lack of a better term. She didn't want to really have sex with him. She just had sort of starfish, sort of maintenance sex, and that was it. He finds this tape, and she's having like 3-ways with guys in college, and she's still hanging on to the tape. And he's checking this out, and he's like, "Oh my God, I married a slut who fucks like a prude." That was literally what he said. I wrote that in the thing. It was from a Reddit post. And of course, once he discovered this and he was going to divorce her, it's okay. I'll suck your dick. I'll do whatever. I'll be more adventurous sexually. It's like, no, that's not the point. You wanted to get after it with those guys, but you did not want to get after it with me. Yes, you're right. You will be absolutely a different person when you are 32 years old with the guy you had to settle for, rather than the fun, exciting alpha guys that you're widowed from the 60 plus guys you got with in college. Yeah, you definitely will be a different person. I 100% agree with you on that one, lady, whatever your name is, for sure. But that's the point of the whole that I'm making in this whole thing is that it really comes down to an evolutionary discernment. It comes down to judgment. Oh, they must be bitter and burned they must be insecure in their masculinity if they're being judgmental of your sexual past. Wow, how convenient in an era where it is almost unavoidable, unignorable to get away from that woman's sexual past. I have a thank you for that. Sam just gave me this. I wanted to throw this on see if I can save this image and bring it up for you. I thought this was a really good, where'd it go? Hold on a second. Save image as. Sooner or later, it'll let me do it. There we go. This was thank you for that, Sammy. This was the image that I should throw it in here. I'll put it in as an overlay and make it really big. This was the image that I used for the Saving the Best post. And Sam, if you'll put that in I used this. This is actually from an art installment. This was actually the lead-in picture from that post, which I believe was back in 2014, wasn't it? When did I put that up? 8 years ago. Wow, 8 years ago I wrote that. It's weird to read my stuff from a long time ago because it's like another person wrote it, but it was me. So 8 years ago, we were talking about exactly the same thing that these guys are talking, the ladies and Corey are talking about on this podcast, whatever it is. These were condoms that this chick had kept, I guess. Allegedly, and then took pictures. And these are the dudes that she nailed. And this was meant to be sort of an essay or a statement on casual sex, I guess, at the time. Remember, this is 8 years ago. And the reason I use this art installment, college art installment, was because it was illustrative of, like I said, the conversation that was going on at that time. But the other thing that I think that Corey is missing out on here is that the guys who get to finally get with the girl of their dreams, their dream girl, their soulmate at 30, who has come to her senses finally. And now she's finally seen the value in him. And she said, I want to marry you. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe she agrees with what this lady's saying here too. That guy thinks that he's going to get her sexual best, which is, by the way, statistically not accurate. But more studies have shown that as well. You don't marry your sexual best. Even women, I think most women would probably relate with that as well. But that's where it comes down to. So these guys who have done everything the right way, at least according to them, conviction wise, religious wise, maybe old set of books wise, they believe that they did everything the right way. I did everything that Candace Owens and Matt Walsh and all these tradcons told me to do. I went to school. I got a degree in STEM. I started my own business. I got my shit together. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm my own. Let's say I'm chasing excellence. I'm my own best version of myself. All this good stuff. I did everything, and I got with this girl. I married a slut who fucks like a prude. Because you forgave her past indiscretions. Because you were the one who said, you know what? I don't want to seem like I am insecure in my masculinity, so I won't say anything. And then they wonder why they're in a sexless marriage, and she's pining for the guy that she wanted to get with, that she couldn't lock down when she was 25 years old and in college, having her fun, enjoying her journey of self-discovery. Those are the stats. That's the commonalities here. It's not bitter guys. I mean, maybe they're a little bitter. Of course they are. It's not those guys. It's not incels that we're talking about. It's guys who married the girl. It's guys who did everything the right fucking way. It's not the incels are going to complain and cry. Blackpill guys are going to doomers. They're not the ones you need to be concerned with. The guy you need to be concerned with is the guy who bought in, the guy who's all in. The Russell Wilson is the guy that you need to be really worried about in all of this. And the women who think they're entitled to their Russell Wilson after they pray the Ciara prayer. Those are the guys you need to be concerned with. Not the guys who go, oh man, all the jocks fuck the cheerleaders. No. No. The guys who are all in, the guys like you, the guys who want to apologize, who are apologists for all this, for this entire process. Well, ladies, you didn't know any better, but it's just okay. We forgive you. Just go to church. Say the Ciara prayer. Just don't worry about those guys. Only the guys who are complaining, the guys who are showing all this evidence, they're just bitter. That's the only way they can dismiss it. That's the only answer that they have. Same thing with Steve Harvey. That was a non-answer. They didn't solve anything, and neither is Corey here.
Larger, and I would also agree that the younger people these days have a lot more sedentary lifestyle than we did as kids. We were literally kicked out of our house. We weren't allowed to come back in the house until the streetlights came on. We were a lot more active. So, guys, it's your fault that a woman has a sordid sexual past because you can't put the fork down, because you're fat. And if you're in better shape, then you too could be one of the number in that notch count that the average woman has that is much higher than yours, just statistically speaking, not even, just sort of locally speaking, but just sort of in a global sense. Yeah. So get in shape, do the right thing, do what she wants you to do, be more attractive, don't be unattractive, and you can be one of those numbers. We didn't have video games and all this. I mean, we did have video games, but our life did not revolve around gaming and stuff like that, And this is where we're going to lean back into the Matt Walsh tradcon argument. Men are just hooked on porn. They jerk off to porn, and they're doing video games and smoking pot. That's legal now, and that, and so therefore, look at yourself. Like, what is it? Remove the plank in your eye before you look at the mote in mine. What I'm thinking about with this comment, I just thought of something. Men are very sex centric in the way that they think. Like,
very visual.
They see the eyes through. Like, I don't think that sex is as important to women as it is to men in relationships. Women don't. Oh, Matt Walsh would soundly disagree with you. Like, and I think what's funny is you contrast that with the episode I did about Matt Walsh not too long ago, where he's looking at the Tinder and swiping this way and swiping that way. It's like, who's doing the swiping? It's mostly women doing the swiping. It's guys who are putting themselves out there. Yes, men are definitely more sexual than women. That's a biological fact.
Men will always be more sexual, whatever that means. They will always have a more keener interest, let's say, have a higher libido than women do. We have to. That's the way evolution made us. Nothing to apologize when it comes to that. So yeah, it is very important. Sex is very important to guys. And what's even more important is that the baby is ours. And that's why they're concerned with your sexual past. That's why women are concerned with men being concerned with their sexual past. It is important. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have this conversation. It wouldn't be a big deal. It's not. The big deal is trying to shame men and condition men to think that it is unimportant. The big deal is trying to find a social end run around an evolutionary dynamic that men have had for 100,000 years, since we were living in hunter-gatherer tribes. Where we want to ejaculate and evacuate, yes. But once we've ejaculated and once we're pair bonded and once whatever that means, once we've sort of locked in the mother of our child, we want to know only one thing. We will give you provisioning. We will give you protection. We will kill the saber-toothed tiger. We will hopefully ward off the invading tribes. We will build a house. We will build the Sistine Chapel. We will make all this technology. We'll make fucking dishwashers and washing machines. We will make your life as easy as we can possibly do it. We will open doors for you. You want to know where chivalry and all that shit came from? It's because, she's the vulnerable sex. We got to open the door. We will do all of that. The only thing we ask is this. The fucking kid is my goddamn kid. That's what it is. That is the most primary thing in the world. Why is guys more sexual than women? Because they have that interest in it. I got to know that my DNA is going on into the next generation. And it's not a cognitive thing. It's not guys going, It's not like they're MODOK, right? They have a big head, from Marvel Comics, right? They're not, I've got to think and make sure that the baby is mine. Wah, 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 wah. That's not what it is. It's a subroutine. That's why it's important. And women know this. They know it on the instinctual level. That's why they call themselves sluts. That's why they hate on each other and call themselves sluts. Because they know that works. Because because men are more sexual. Because men are concerned with paternity. Men get jealous. Men are more jealous. The reason why men and women get jealous, I don't know if you guys know this or not. The reason why men get jealous is because the woman fucked another guy. The reason women get jealous is because the other woman represents competition of taking away resources she thought she had already secured. That's why women get really pissed off at emotional infidelity. He's having an emotional relationship with her. And men said, where'd you fuck him? How did you fuck him? Was it on the stairs? Was it in my bed? Was it in the kitchen? Was it in the bathroom? Was it in the hot tub? Where'd you fuck him? That's the prime concern for guys when it comes to infidelity. For women, it's, are you in love with her? That's what it is. There's two different reasons for that, because women prioritize the resources and long-term security, and men prioritize what? Let's say it again, class. Wait, here it is.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
Say it again with me, class. Paternity. We need to know the damn kid is ours. Even in the era where we have DNA testing, even when we can, when the laws are all stacked against you, we still want to know that the kid is ours.
Choose men based on sex. Ever. It's somebody who gives them attention, validation, security, safety, companionship. I think men.
Bullshit. We select men based on companionship and love and all of these great sounding, good, non-judgmental, truthy sounding attraction features that make for a guy who would do what? Provide good long-term security. He's got to be funny, and he's got to love his mom, and he's got to like puppy dogs. He's got to want kids, and he's got to have a good job, and he's got to be, sensitive and compassionate, and And every one of the things that she just labeled right now is what women are attracted to. They are not aroused by them. Compare and contrast what she is saying right now to exactly what Matt Walsh was saying about Tinder not a week ago when I did that breakdown. Women are just ruthlessly, he didn't say women, but that's what he meant, is ruthlessly scrolling through and swiping through these apps as if they only ever use Tinder, right? But yeah, it's designed for hypergamy. Tinder is an app to facilitate hypergamy. Hinge, Bumble, apps to facilitate hypergamy. Why? Because women are absolutely concerned with sex, especially when they're the age of that younger girl that's in here. Especially when they're in their hoe phase, racking up that body count that they say shouldn't matter. Yes, they are. Fucking wake up. Wake the fuck up. Stop. You want to talk? Remember what I said about cognitive dissonance and how women can easily hold two differing concepts. And if both of those concepts in some way could potentially lead to optimizing hypergamy, they have no problem with that. Here it is. This is the cognitive dissonance that I'm talking about. When she's older, of course. How old do you think this chick is? She's certainly in her 30s. Maybe she's pushing 40. I don't want to say she's quite 40. Maybe she's even 41, maybe early 40s. I was getting in trouble when I try to date these chicks. But when we look at this right here, and we look at, say, she's 37, 38, maybe a little, I don't know, somewhere around there. She's looking for security at this time. She's looking for dependency. She's looking for a different set of features in a guy than the girl who was on here before. If that were the case, women will be getting the fat guys that they just said, the fat guys that they were just criticizing just 10 seconds ago. They should be getting laid like tile, because that's all that matters. Women don't care about physique. They don't care about, so they care about these more esoteric, ephemeral qualities in a guy. Bullshit. They don't want a beta male even looking at them. They don't want a beta male coming in, approaching them on the streets. But that's what we're supposed to believe.
Sex is number one thing that they're looking for.
Yes.
They judge all relationships, like sex is top three things probably.
Yes.
When they're meeting a woman, sex comes into play.
Also, this might be kind of graphic, but most girls don't get off and while having sex at all.
Right. There's such a small amount of women who can.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why men love it.
Also, our sex drive is not nearly as high as, we're a 10th of the sex drive of men.
True.
So sex doesn't run our life. It's actually not a deciding factor in too many things in our life, I don't think. And so.
Remember this the next time you see the girl tonight when you watch the after hours show on Fresh and Fit. Ask yourself how many of these girls would align themselves with that. Did Ciara convince herself that she shouldn't be with Future, or was it because Future cheated on her after she had the baby? Right? Was that the case, or was it she was just like, you know what, sex really isn't all that important. Hot guys, they're not really all that important for me. Jada Pinkett Smith, I got with August Alsina because it was love. It was about healing. It wasn't about sex. Dirty, filthy sex. That's you guys. And the longer you believe, you want to remember how I always talk to you about open hypergamy versus like covert, concealed hypergamy. This is concealed hypergamy. This is the hope that if we de-emphasize women's need for sex, that men will go, oh, well, maybe we should just be better guys.
This is a perfect example of somebody who's seeing the world through different eyes. Like this man is thinking, this woman has slept with so many men, she's not going to have anything to give to her husband. Mm-hmm. Through the woman's eyes, she's having fun, spending time with people, but sex doesn't mean as much probably to her.
But wait a minute. I thought sex wasn't that important. I thought all like funny, compassionate, parentally invested. I thought all that was more important. Let me see if I can clarify this. Is it more important when you're between the ages of 18 and 28? Probably is. She's speaking from the perspective of a woman who is out of the sexual marketplace, is certainly not able to compete with, certainly younger women. Let's be 100 here. Certainly not in the same league, certainly not in the same caliber. She's been out of the game for a while, but it's the cognitive dissonance right there. This essentially, she's giving you the other side of the cognitive dissonance. well, men are more sexual, but, women aren't as sexual. But, so why does it matter that we don't give you our
What means
sexual
more
test?
to a woman is actually the communication and the like she's going to pair bond with somebody who gives her what she needs, and sex is not part of the equation at all.
How many
I don't
ladies
think
agree
women
with
pair
that?
bond for sex. Sadly, that's like a weird thing when God created men and women.
This is a woman who's never been dicked down properly. I mean, we're going to get graphic. This is a woman who has never lost her soul in the sex act. This is the woman who has never been anything but self-conscious while she's getting laid, right? She's never like turned into like this complete lusty animal. Or maybe she did. She just doesn't remember. Maybe she doesn't want to remember. Maybe she doesn't want to go back to it. This is a person who has never been to, what's the big deal? I don't understand. Whenever, I wrote this in the first book, actually, whenever a woman says, I don't understand why sex is such a big deal for guys, believe her, run, eject, get out, because she's telling you the truth. She doesn't understand. And you don't want to be with a woman who doesn't understand how important sex is to you. When women have a genuine desire to fuck you, they understand exactly how important it is to you. When women have this like feral, I will change my religion to tear your clothes off. I will quit my job and move across the country to bang you once. That I want to have his babies instead of I want to have babies. That girl, that's the one you want to be with. That's the woman who never says, I don't understand why sex is a big deal. She understands why sex is a big deal. The girl who's getting it, the girl who's got with the alpha, when Jada was with Tupac, when Future was with Ciara, I guarantee you, sex was a big. They understood why sex was a big deal to guys. Guaranteed.
We don't match in that way with sex. It's like not one of our top things. I never picked a guy to be a permanent partner or have a relationship with a guy because of sex. Some of them were better and some of them were amazing and some of them were okay, but all the guys that I dated long term and loved and fell deeply in love with had nothing to do with sex.
Yeah, but had everything to do with long-term security because your priorities changed. Again, cognitive dissonance, alpha fucks, beta bucks. There is no greater cognitive dissonance for women than alpha seed and beta need. And her need for beta, her need for long-term security, protection, provisioning, and parental investment far outweighs her ability to entertain alpha fucks in a very short window while she is at her sexual market value peak years. That's why. So yeah, of course, it sounds better. And of course, she's going to play the God card as she has done right here. Well, God made us this way. This lady needs to get laid. She needs to get laid.
It's not on our radar. That's not how we choose people.
There's some nymphos out there, though.
Tell that bitch to be cool. Say, bitch, be cool. Be cool, honey. Say, bitch, be cool. Tell that fucking bitch to chill.
People use it for power, I think. Women use sex because it's power. It gives them power over men because it's so important to men. And that's how they
I like that.
Get attention.
I haven't thought of it that way.
You just now realized that, girl?
That's why they like to feel powerful.
Free tip of the day from Mom.
Nymphomaniacs.
Corey Wayne. There you go. Your
They're
free
on
tip
it.
of the
They're
day. Your free tip of the day is this. Women approach love from what? Say it with me. From an opportunistic perspective. Wow. Red Pill 101. In fact, that's Iron Rule of Tomassi, number 6. Women will never, they fundamentally lack the ability to love a man in the way that a man believes that she should be able to love him. Opportunism. There it is, black and white. We had alpha fucks and beta bucks. The beta buck side now of this whole cognitive dissonance equation spelled out for you black and white. Whenever Corey says, wow, what do you ask Corey Wayne, well, what do you think about the Iron Rules of Tomassi? Guess what? He has no defense against number 6. Right there. Bam. Gotcha. Where is it?
Guilty, 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 guilty.
I love that sound drop.
Yeah.
That's sex addicts, right?
Yeah, I've only known like one or two in my life. It's not like super common with women, but it's out there. I know the guys are looking for those girls, but they don't want to marry them.
Yeah.
They can't pair
because
bond.
they have too high of a body
They can't
count.
pair bond.
All right, that's enough of this nonsense. Clearly, you see where I'm going with this. I think I've done enough damage. I got to read this. Sorry, I didn't get to you before, Mark Martin. I kind of got on a roll. Thank you for that $200 super chat. I don't know if I can put it back up on the screen. He says, "Hi, Rollo. There is a gentleman by the name of Ta City, and I called him the Black Rollo Tomassi, and he did a fair and accurate analysis on Brittany Renner and Kevin Samuels. It seems you have given birth to a son, a black son. He has also wears a cap and glasses. His channel is Logic Sphere." Okay, well, thank you for that. I will go look him up. There's what the hell's the guy's name? There's a guy in Kenya who I follow on Twitter. Dude, I'm sorry, I'm blocking on your name. I know it too. That dude's that guy's the Kenyan Rollo Tomassi. Let me tell you, I quote, he does. Thank you for giving me props, but he does a credit. So there you have it today. I wanted, again, this is really more of I think this is an object lesson for women than it is really for guys. I'm not a big fan of Corey Wayne, not because I don't think, maybe he has something, like people get something out of him. Great. I just don't know him well enough, but from this performance right here, this is very reminiscent. This is very similar. There's a parallel in this between where he's sort of like, I don't say simping out, but certainly being a softball with all of this, because Corey should know better. I think he does know better. Kevin Samuels should know better. I expect better from Kevin Samuels. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm off base here. But having Brittany Renner on there and being known for your average at best, being known for holding women accountable, and I'm waiting for Kevin Samuels to show up. I'm waiting for Corey Wayne to show up. I'm waiting for you. If you have chosen this, if you've chosen the manosphere, here we go. If you've chosen the manosphere as your niche, and I don't care if you're a funnel marketer, I don't care if you got into this for like reasons to, make a good chunk of change off of YouTube or whatever your Gumroad book is. I don't care. If you're in this sphere, you have an obligation. Don't puss out. And I see a lot of guys fucking pussing out. I see too many guys doing that. Like, I expect that from Steve Harvey. I do not expect that from Kevin Samuels. I do not expect that from Corey Wayne. I do not expect that from any other guy who has some sort of name recognition in this sphere. I expect you to live up to a fucking standard. Push back, for fuck's sake, push back. You got nothing to lose, especially on a half-assed, podcast, whatever. Oh, Kevin Samuels got Brittany Renner on. Great. You know what you'd be better known for? The guy who held her feet to the fire. DJ Academics held her feet to the fire more than you did. You got a responsibility. And I'm talking about responsibility. That's your responsibility. You have an obligation to objective truth. I should certainly hope you do. And the same thing goes for like even Steve Harvey, I would say. But he's not. I know what to expect from him because that's his grift. He's not gonna upset the apple cart. He's not gonna shake the boat. He's not gonna rock the boat. That's not going to happen with him, but I expect it to happen in the manosphere. Well, we should take the manosphere mainstream. No, we shouldn't. Why? Because exactly this stuff. Because of this. People who are supposed to be representatives of the manosphere, those representatives of the red pill, when the chips are down, grab your nuts and put your head between your legs. Softballs. Don't go soft. Well, soft on me now. Zomboy, what did you say? Since humans are promiscuous by nature, presumably because evolution selected for promiscuity for survival of the species, then why does promiscuity have negative effects on women at all? Because men and women are what? Different. I need a sound drop where it's a big crowd saying different. That's why. Why is it different to her? Let me tell you something. I'm glad you brought that up because this is where this was my ending monologue here. My ending monologue.
You sly dog. You got me monologuing.
Here's my monologue for the end here, okay? Yes, you're right. Promiscuity does not affect men like it affects women. Biologically, evolutionarily speaking, men are evolved to ejaculate and evacuate. And women hate that. If you go and you look at the studies, the same ones I was throwing here, I've got some really good ones here. I should have read some of these here. Science discovered, this is from Ask Men, but it's based on another study that's college research here. And this was back as far as 2016, I think. And it says, a science discovered a strange link between promiscuity and divorce. Strange. No, it's not so strange when you think about it. Virginity is still highly valued by some by more than others. Well, whatever. But according to new research, not only is that not a reliable indicator of lasting marriage, in some cases, it correlates with higher likelihood of divorce. I got the tables here. I should put this up. University of Utah. There it is. Here it was. The partner count. 0 partners, 1, 2, 3. And they broke this down through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and 2000s, and 2010s. And the marital satisfaction. There's all kinds. This is not hard data to find. In fact, I don't think I'm not gonna drop this on you because we're getting towards the end here. But what I did want to say is that along with that research, along with that data, it does not show that men who have higher partner counts have any less satisfaction in marriage. What she was saying before is like, well, I don't understand why sex is so important to men. Well, it is because that is what our mating strategy is centered on. Unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. So when men have to settle on one woman, when they have to parentally invest in one monogamous relationship with that woman, what happens? There is what is it? It's not sunk cost. It's the cost to benefit analysis, right? It's the opportunity cost. That's what it is. It's opportunity cost. So what am I missing out on? What other options, what other opportunities for reproduction would I have had I not invested in this one woman and protecting her, protecting the children and everything else, which is what human beings do. We do that. Yes. But for men, they have to sacrifice unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, or certainly limitations on that, let's just say, depending on how powerful and high value you are. And that's the way it's been throughout history. So when guys are adopting women's mating strategy, which is quality, and they're going, okay, well, I'm going to stick with you, forsaking all others in sickness and in health, till death do us part, for rich or for poor, all the days of my life, right? When I say those vows and I make that commitment to you, what I'm committing to is compromising my innate reproductive strategy, which is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. If you don't believe, here's the reason why I'm saying this, is because research shows this as well, is that men do not put the same emotional gravity. They don't have the same emotional association. They can separate themselves emotionally from the sex act, from the person. You see what I'm saying? So when men say, oh, you have meaningless sex. Well, that's why pornography is so like insulting to a lot of sort of moralistic tradcon people, is because it is a sort of a transgression, let's just say, of the idea that sex should be meaningful. You got to be meaningful. Well, to who? To what? What is meaning? Define meaning. Well, there should be an emotional connection. Well, guess what? Men innately don't have that connection. If they did, I was going to say, if it had to be meaningful all the time, pornography would not be what it is today, my friends. Pornography would, like 4K streaming online, ubiquitous porn, would not be what, I'm not saying it wouldn't exist, but it wouldn't be what it is right now if that were the case. Men can separate the sex act from an emotional investment in that sex act. Women cannot, because they have more to lose. Or they used to not be able to. You can condition a woman, sure. Turn a housewife into a hoe. Yeah, you can do that. You can condition people for a lot of things. And we've been successfully doing that in Western society ever since the sexual revolution. Surprise. And what prompted that? Hormonal birth control. Don't worry. You can be as sexually casual sex. We wouldn't even know what that term was prior to the sexual revolution. Remember, we're in the middle of the experiment, and we're looking at the consequences of it right now. The consequences of it is that there's a lot of guys who are frustrated and they're throwing out all of this data that women don't have an answer for. And meanwhile, women are trying to cover their tracks for the indiscretions of being sexually selective. And then what are the other consequences? Well, you got the girl who was on the Steve Harvey show. She's a consequence of this experiment. She's a result of the experiment right now. She doesn't have a man. She's a alpha, a powerful, cocky, bitchy boss girl, alpha female. No man. I want a man. I need to have babies because my mom's going to get upset and she doesn't have grandkids. Well, that you're an unfortunate casualty of the experiment. That's where we're going with all of this. So when we look at the difference between men and women when it comes to mating strategies, as I said before, men can be promiscuous. Women, they can, and often are. They can certainly be cuckolds. They can certainly be cuckold men because it's in their interests to cuckold men. In an evolutionary sense, cuckolding a guy who is a good, like having sex with a guy who's the superior genetic quality and having a great, getting dicked down by that guy, having his baby and convincing the beta male, the guy who's going to take care of that baby and protect and provide and be parentally invested and convince him that it's his kid. That's an evolutionary jackpot. Evolutionary jackpot. And it hasn't changed for 100,000 years and will continue to be the same way. And when you put women in charge, or when women's mating strategy is the societal norm, that's what you're going to get. That's the experiment, my friends. That's the experiment we're in right now. So yes, men, why is it that men can go sleep around and they're a superhero and women, when they do, they're a slut? Because men and women are different. That's why. Men can separate the sex act from an emotional investment. Women have a higher incentive to associate emotion with the sex act. That's why. So yeah. Oh, that's unfair. Yeah. It's only unfair if you still buy into the blank slate. It's only unfair if you're unwilling to look in the mirror that I hold up every time I do this fucking show. It is only unfair if you still believe that men and women are exactly the same and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Bullshit. No, it's not. That's a double standard. Yep. Yes, it is. There's a lot of other ones for men too. But that's one that actually should, anyways, work in men's favor, but it doesn't. Not in a gynocentric social order, it does. So yeah, you're right. You're right, Zomboy. No, shouldn't it be? How come men can get away with the negative? Because men's mating strategy is way different. We need to spread seed. Women need to be concerned with quality, not quantity. Ejaculate and evacuate. Strategic prepper. A woman's past is also becoming more visible with social media. They used to be able to hide it more. Now, not so much. Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly why Don't Judge Me is a thing. Because if you can't get away from it, then you have to change everyone's mind. It's like this collective gaslighting of men, in the global westernized sense, right? Well, ladies, we can't. The sisterhood gets together. Okay, ladies, we got a meeting. Well, we can't get away from our digital past. We all have OnlyFans accounts now. We're making money hand over fist. We're all, the cat's out of the bag. We're all opportunistic, and we can't find men who are economically attractive. So it's all out in the open. So how are we going to recover from this? I know. Let's shame men for their biological imperatives. Oh, they want women who have a lower notch count. Shame on you. You can't get away from it, then normalize it. Don't judge me, said the serial killer. Yeah. What else is there? What else do I have to give to you today? Okay, we're at the end of the comments here. Let me see. I'll have to back up. Thanks for tracking these with me. Sam Bada in the house. I don't see Torsha in today. I did see Mac McKenzie was in for a little while. Semper Fi Qualify says, I have a serious question for Rollo for once. Okay, Rollo, how do you personally deal with being around family, friends, acquaintances who are blue pill, cucky, etc.? Grin and bear it. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? How do you change them? How do I convert them to red pillism? My best advice, I don't want to be dismissive here, but my best advice is wait for your moments. don't you don't have to beat people over the head with the red pill. You don't have to beat people up and say, well, Rollo said here in chapter 1, verse 8 of the Rational Male Preventive Medicine that you're a cuck. You don't do that. Wait for your moments. Wait for a thing like something comes up in the news, something happens in your personal life. Ask questions. It's more, it's like Socratic method, right? You ask the questions, you lead the witness, right? You ask questions about why someone thinks the way that they do. And don't they think that this has something to do with that? Like connect dots for them and then let them come to their own conclusions. You can't tell anybody jack shit. You can only hope that they come to the conclusions that you're trying to sort of lead them to, because then when they get there, they think they came to it on their own volition. They didn't. You just asked the right questions. They had the right answers, and that's how you came to that point. That's the what I usually like advise guys to do. Like just first of all, be patient, wait for your moments, and then tell them, ask the questions. Say, why do you think women did this? Why do you think women need a special day? Why do you think we should have why is it that, was it Michigan? Why isn't Michigan renounce the tampon tax or something like that? Like, whatever it is, anything that's like sort of gender issue that relates to the red pill, ask those tough questions and let them come to those conclusions so that they can connect the dots that you are connecting. When they think they did it themselves, they will think that they're genius. You're a genius. No, I just led the witness. What else is in here? Anything else? Oh, there's one. Hold on. Michaela Peterson is a 304. She followed the streets. I do not have that sound drop, and I am not going to play it even if I had it. 304, by the way. What's a 304? Okay. Get a calculator and type in 304 on the calculator and then hold it upside down into a mirror. And then you'll know what a 304 is. It's the nice way of getting around the censorship of Google. It's kind of like saying grape instead of what. Man, you guys are on fire today. Lots of people in the comments section here. Thank you for watching today, by the way. And thank you, Sam, for being my moderator. And I'm thinking I need to back up a little. Gosh, I got so many. I got to catch up here. I tried to get to everybody. Let me see if I can roll back a little bit. What did you say? Hold on a second. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom here. Strategic Prepper got to you. Zomboy got to you. Rusty Shackleford. There you are. Sorry, I couldn't get you. I couldn't find your damn tweet. Rusty Shackleford, thank you for that $20. My good friend. He says, I just bought your first and fourth book. Quite the combination. And listen to them at work. You bought the Audible. Thank you. A lot of information to digest. Going to have to listen to them again. First time catching you live. Oh, good. Thank you. I did today live because I missed Sunday. I was going to try to do a Sunday show, but if you ever have to travel, if you're travel for your vocation, whatever it is, don't stay at the Marriott. Don't stay at any Marriott. Their internet sucks. And their firewall will keep me from accessing the Rational Male website even. And you won't be able to see certain things on Twitter, and they have very heavy-handed censorship on their servers. Don't stay at the Marriott, especially if you think that God forbid, don't pay for the good high-speed internet that they say that you can buy for $3 a day. Don't buy that either. Ask me how I know. I did it. I thought I'd be able to do the show from the hotel room after Pat's memorial. I had all this stuff set up and I couldn't do anything. So stay away from Marriott. The Centric, Hyatt Centric in Brickell, best. I mean, I've stayed at some pretty nice hotels in Vegas and even in Reno and some of these other places here. I've stayed at some 4-star places at the Wynn. I've been at Bellagio, Centric, Miami, and Brickell. You guys, number one in my book. It's like coming home. Breezy Bird says, when you took up 8 Mile Brittany Murphy on YouTube, the first 8 Mile Brittany Murphy, is that what she is? The first 2 searches are what women do at the same time: being emotional supportive, emotionally supportive while cheating. You want me to give you here? Let me give you. I'll drop something really, really heavy on you here. And this is one of the reasons why a woman's sexual past matters. I don't say this very often. When I talk about how when a woman is into you, when she really wants to get with you, or she has genuine desire for you, she will find things about you naturally that she wants to get into as well. Like I said, if Mrs. Tomassi is not into Swedish death metal, okay, just to clear the air. But if you're with ROLLO Tomassi, or put it this way, if your girlfriend starts having a keen interest in the Raiders, the Vegas Golden Knights, Warhammer 40,000, Swedish death metal, whatever, she's probably fucking me. Okay, so she probably, if she takes a keen interest in some new areas, it's probably because what happens is women will tend to adopt the ways and the interests of other men that they're really organically, genuinely into, because they want to find ways to become more compatible with that guy, right? No brainer. Talked about that before. Here's the other part of that. When a woman has cheated on you with another guy, and she's taken on his interest and whatever, when she's cheated on him and she comes back to you, and she is like, well, this is why Will Smith's relationship is doomed, by the way. But when a woman cheats on a guy and she comes back to that guy, and that guy is still oblivious to it, doesn't know any infidelity has happened. If that guy that she's cheating with has such an alpha impact on her, fucking you or fucking the guy who she's married to or the boyfriend or whatever, having sex with you feels like cheating to her. Because her hindbrain says, the guy that I just got with, the guy I left at the hotel room, the guy that I just had this really great sex that I really wanted to have, that validational sex that I really wanted to get with, that dude, Future, right? Tupac, whatever, that guy that really rocked my world. I think it was Jada Pinkett Smith said something to the fact that, like, how she was writing love notes to Tupac after he was dead, saying that just the thought of him and just like thinking about him brought her to like spontaneous orgasm or something like that. There's actually notes of that. It's like, I can't imagine being like Will Smith and reading that stuff. But when that woman is with you and she's having sex with you and she gives you sort of this starfish kind of ho-hum, not into it kind of sex, and she's pining for her alpha widow, having sex with you feels like cheating on him. And I don't think enough guys really realize that, because when that woman goes from being really, really hot and then suddenly she just turns it off and she's like, okay, are you done yet? I got laundry to fold, right? It's sort of like this get it over with kind of thing. And she starts taking an interest in other things or whatever else. And she's, you know, your hindbrain, your peripheral awareness is aware of something that just happened and she's acting out of character or whatever. And you have to remember, not enough guys understand that when women get to that point, it's already over. You're already done. Will Smith, it's been over for Will Smith for a long time, because having sex with Will Smith, like she said on the Red Table thing, having sex with Will Smith feels like cheating on August Alsina, feels like cheating on Tupac, feels like cheating on whoever rocked her world more than Will Smith. So when it's like she's married to that guy sort of in her mind, or like sexually, she's married to that guy, and having sex with you is just like, I got to have sex with him to keep up the appearance until I can get out of this. That's what it comes down to. And not enough guys factor that in when they've discovered that infidelity, when they've discovered that she's been cheating. Instead of trying to make it work out and try to talk it out and go to sex therapists and marriage counselors, what you need to do is say, her having sex with me feels like cheating to her. I'm done. I'm out. Because you will never have that genuine desire again. It will never be rekindled, assuming you had it in the first place. The person she has genuine desire for is the guy that she's cheating with on you with. And now her having sex with lackluster sex, starfish sex with you feels like cheating to her. Tom's going to have a field day with that one. What did you say? I work a lot and it's easier to multitask. I bought 3 hard copies now. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, you should probably, at the very least, Rusty, buy a hard copy of the first book, because you'll probably want to highlight it. Most guys do. Austin Griffin, I can remember going on a church retreat years ago. We were handed a certification to give to our future wives that we saved ourselves for them. Why would that be important? Why would that be a religious thing in the first place? Oh, because religion is just horrible. No, there's a latent purpose to that. Because on some level, most religions anyways, understand women's sexual nature and men's sexual nature. That's why virginity is a thing, and it's why it's been sort of codified in religion for forever. The latent purpose of it is we want to ascertain and make sure that the virgin that we're having sex with is only going to be having sex with us and only going to have our babies. That's why virginity is prized, because it's a guarantee, or it should be anyways, a guarantee that the baby's going to be yours. Another reason why partner count has historically been a big deal. Chastity amongst women has been a big deal, because a chaste woman, a woman who only fucks you and only bears your child, is very valuable to a powerful man who wants to ensure his genetic line lives on. It's all about the genes, man. Phil said this. Ciara even made a song called I Can't Leave Them Alone about bad boys. Right? Cheating on, I wonder. I don't know. Maybe Ciara is too deep in the weeds with the religion side of things, but like, I wonder if she doesn't pine for Future. It might be. Vince H, I got to you. Let's see. The moment it goes mainstream, I talked about that. Jeffrey Jones got to you. Got to Mac. Thank you, Mac. Mackenzie actually followed. You guys should go follow Mackenzie. She's what are you, 25? I think you're 25 years old. Go follow me. Go follow Mac. There are very few women in this sphere that I will recommend. Go to Mac's. Go subscribe to Mac's channel. Very small channel. She doesn't do this. She's not Redpill. She just does libertarian kind of stuff, and I think crypto as well, right? She and I hate each other because we like different football teams. But other than that, she's a really cool chick. Go check her out. Young girl. Good head on her shoulders. Also, the only other girl I endorse is Torsha. So go look up Torsha, TORSHAA. Go check her out too. She's been on with me with Fresh and Fit. She's my magician's assistant occasionally. And I don't mean that. That's not a sexual innuendo. Let's see. Phil, I got to you. Fallen Bishop. Harvey, Steve Harvey is just Kevin Samuels for national TV. Maybe. Stephen Hendry. I got to you. Roberts, got to you. White Lion, I didn't see you. Unrelated, but I managed to get back with my girlfriend. But I didn't feel the same, so I broke up with her. Did her SMV went down, or did mine went up? You were over it, more likely than not. Why would you? See, that's another thing is I don't think people really realize when I talk about Iron Rule Tomassi number 7. Number 7 is never root through garbage once you've taken the can to the curb. What that is it's an allegory for never go back to a breakup. It's time better spent developing relationships with new women than it is trying to rekindle or restructure or repair an old one. And White Lion, you are an example of what happens when you do that. You actually got back to you guys. Congratulations. You got back with her. And you're like, and now guess what? Now you got to go through that process again of breaking up with her. It's so simple. How come you don't read my book? What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Snap out of it. What's wrong with you? If you'll just listen to what Uncle Rollo says to you, your life will be easier. Did David D'Angelo mean arousal is not a choice instead of attraction is not a choice? No, David D'Angelo was a huckster and still is a huckster. He just does it differently now. Attraction is not a choice is actually not a D'Angelo thing so much as it was like a pickup artist thing that he happened to sort of like rephrase and everybody attributes it to him. Attraction is not a choice is really, I think you're right, Robert. I would agree with you. I think arousal is not a choice. Attraction is definitely a choice. That's why gorgeous women get with fat, ugly, rich guys. They choose to be attracted to. They find the hamster finds a way to rationalize why she's with that guy while her libido and her what is it? The ego and the id, right? The id wants to bang hot guys, and the ego says, no, we need to get the rich guy because we can ensure our future. Mark Martin, thank you for that $200. That was a very generous offering, my friend. And that is that. Thank you. I think I do good work too. Do I do good work? Yes. Now, don't complain when I say, oh, Kevin Savo. What do you want, Kevin? Oh, yeah. Kevin Savo's the third episode, by the way, of Captain Savaho. I shouldn't say Captain. It's Savaho is coming out the first week of December, I believe. And there's a cameo appearance by another Red Pill Manosphere luminary. I'm not going to give it away, but you can probably guess who it is. In fact, he's been very vocal about it. I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to try to get Kevin on also with this same guy. Stop beating around the bush. It's Donovan Sharp. Donovan Sharp has a cameo in the next one. So I'm going to see if I can get myself, Donovan Sharp, and Kevin on a show once it drops. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do and talk about. Let's see. I think that is that. All right. I do have a few other announcements to make here at the end. Yes. Sorry, Tom, but this is exit language. Everybody's going to check out of the room now. Announcements are this. I am doing my monthly Zoom call with my Patreon group. We got 9 guys now. It's going up. It is $200, a $200 tier. So it's a $200 monthly thing on Patreon. And again, I keep it at that. So you can, if you decide you don't want to, you just check out. If you don't, you can stay in. But we have a group of guys now. There's 9. If you would like to join us, we have conversations about whatever is on your mind. You can feel free to ask me questions, whatever. If you have an issue that you want to talk about, I'm happy to address those. I still do one-on-one counseling. Yes. I've got a bunch of emails that I haven't gotten back to. So if you've given me an email about one-on-one counseling and I haven't gotten back to you, I will now that I'm back from Tulsa. So, so that's coming. I will still do that, but do consider doing the group session because it's going to, I will tell you right now, it's going to be way more affordable than doing an hour with me. So if that's good for you and you're cool with a group thing, I will be doing that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's at there's only one $200 tier on my Patreon. You can find the link in the description below and join up and join the conversation. I do that once a month. I try to make it as convenient as possible for everybody. It's for 2 hours and it's like sort of anything goes. So if you are looking for a private conversation one-on-one, consider that first. Second of all, Friday, I will have Sterling Cooper on for probably about an hour, maybe 90 minutes. And we're going to talk about sex and semen retention. And we're going to talk about sort of his side of things. If you know who Sterling Cooper is, he is a adult film star, let's say. I think he's still working. I think he's still an adult film star, but he's not doing as much as he used to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyways, good guy to talk to. Very good. I've had him on the show before. I'm going to talk to him as well. The reason I'm bringing him up is because on the week of December 1st through the 4th, that week right there, 30th, excuse me, November 30th through December 5th, I will once again be in Miami, Florida. And I will be on there with Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. At least I think Tristan's on too. But I will be on with the Tate brothers. So that is something to look forward to. That it's coming up. I'm also doing some private, I'm doing like one-on-one shows with Myron. We've got a Mythbuster, a Red Pill Mythbusters show that's coming up that I've got going on with Myron on that time. Of course, we will be doing after-hour shows with the girls, myself, probably the Tate brothers, and likely Sterling Cooper as well. As you know, Sterling Cooper lives in Miami, so he will be there as well. And Sterling and Justin also have a new show themselves, and they've got a new studio. They've got a new apartment in Midtown Miami, and so I'll be on their show as well. There is a slight possibility Torsha might come out for that one as well. We will see. She's looking into it. We'll see how it works out. So I've got that coming up. So that's as if that's not a big enough deal with me being live with the Tates. I've got a really big announcement coming in very soon. I'm going to be on I don't want to say it's certainly not a national level, but maybe a national level. I'm going to be, you want to talk about Red Pill going mainstream? Well, I don't know if this is going mainstream, but I'm going to be on a show. And no, it's not Joe Rogan, but I have to fly to Texas to be on it. And yes, I realized Tim Pool is driving around the country in his RV, but I will be on a fairly well-known show, conservative kind of talk show kind of thing that's coming up. That will be the week after Miami. So that's going to be the second week of December. And then I have a lot of traveling coming up. Then I am going to be, I will be at George Gammon's Rebel Capitalist show, conference in Houston, Texas, the first weekend of January 2022. And the reason I'm bringing that up right now is because I'm still working this out with George, but I am going to be doing a workshop while I'm there. And if you want to participate in that, I will put an announcement up. I will put it in my newsletter, The Rational Mail, MAIL. So if you're a newsletter follower, I will definitely send that to you. You'll have an opportunity to get in on that. It is in Houston. It will be the first weekend at the Rebel Capitalist. So if you're going to the Rebel Capitalist thing anyways for George Gammon, this will be a good opportunity to do a workshop with me. And then let's see. So I'll be doing that. I'll let you know more about it and what it's going to be about. So that's going to be fun. It's always cool to go out there. And yes, Robert Kiyosaki will be on the show very soon. I'm working out details right now. He was going to be on Fresh and Fit. I don't know if he's on right now. He might even be. We were trying to get a point where we could get him live on Fresh and Fit, but just logistics weren't working out. But Rich Cooper's had him on. I've been on with him lots and lots of times on his show, but they have not been published yet. So sooner or later on the Rich Dad podcast, we've got at least 5 shows in the can right now, and I don't know when they're going to go live. However, I'm going to take matters into my own hand. I've invited him on the show. We're going to be talking about frame in the very near future. Could be possibly next week. So that is also coming up. And then Saturday, last but not least, Rule Zero. I think I'm hosting. Someone's hosting. I'll let you know. Rule Zero, always Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I will let you know where it might be here. We'll see how it goes. Am I going Infamous Right? Am I going to meet up with John if he comes out? I've already told John, I said, depends on where you go. If he goes to Vegas, he probably won't go to Vegas. If he goes to San Diego, I'll probably go down to San Diego and meet him up there. And if he ends up in Miami, I'll probably meet him there as well. I've already told him that I would do that. I'm waiting on logistics from John right now. So we'll see how that goes. But, and then the last week of January, I will be in Cape Coral, Florida. And it's a possibility I might make a quick stop in Miami at that time, but we'll see. But I will be in Cape Coral, and I will save it for another episode as to tell you why I'm going to Cape Coral then. Let's see. That's it. Oh, and then last but not least here, book 5 is almost done. I'm hoping that I'm being optimistic about this. I'm hoping to have it done and available on Amazon by the time I get to Miami first week of December. So that's the good news. There you go. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Thank you for watching, and peace be with you, my friends. And by the way, Pat Campbell the memorial service was fantastic. I'll tell you more about that in some other time, but it was great meeting the people whose lives he impacted. So it was kind of messed me up for a little while, but I'm glad I went. And it was definitely positive. Certainly put some closure on everything. So thanks, guys. I will talk to you later.